This is the Discover Car Countdown to Green as we get ready to go racing.
The 1 mile New Hampshire International Speedway, the second half of the NASCAR Nextel Cup season begins here at a track where hot tempers have been costly to some of the sport's coolest stars. So before they turn up the heat, drivers size up the competition to see if anyone looks a little shifty. The temperature is climbing. To win in the Nextel Cup series, you should probably carry a license to chill. The calm and the quiet of a peaceful New England summer. Rest, relaxation, and a little NASCAR racing. This season, if there's smoke, there's fire.
That's the wrong guy with that mouth right now. I'm not in the mood for him right now.
Oh, it's the race leader, Casey Kane.
It's a big by the 20 pit. Just Tony Stewart doing what he's been doing all year, driving like a moron.
Tony Stewart made headlines 2 weeks ago, putting the win into Windy City. But this story is far from over. Who will be on page one tomorrow? The stars of the Nextel Cup series decide that today at New Hampshire. TNT Sports presents the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, live from Loudon, New Hampshire. 28-year-old Jimmie Johnson has led the championship standings for the last month. Last season, he won both races at this track. Today, he starts second, next to pole sitter Ryan Newman, who got his first career win right here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to New Hampshire. I'm Bill Weber, and our entire race family is happy to be back on TNT, home for 8 of the next 10 Nextel Cup races, including Richmond, Saturday night, September 11th, when the 10 men in the chase for the championship will be locked into place. Dale Earnhardt Jr. currently sits second in the championship standings and has a virtual lock on a seat in that 10-race tournament. Earnhardt Jr. will compete here today, just 1 week after suffering second-degree burns in a fiery crash on the road course in Sonoma, California. Pre-race practice, driving a Corvette. Earnhardt loses control and crashes. You'll see the fuel spill out of the back. It is ignited by the hot components beneath the car. Earnhardt in the car for a moment, then did manage to get out and was helped away by the track safety team. The details on what happened then and what happens now from Matt Yoakum.
Bill, earlier this morning, Dale Jr.'s mom, Brenda, wrapped his burns. Jr. just arrived at driver intros. First off, Dale, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good. We've been really doing the best we can to take care of everything every day and just watch after the best you can. And it hurts, but it could be a whole lot worse.
You're going to start the number 8 car today. How long will you be able to drive?
I'll be able to go to the caution, the first caution, and we don't want to lose a lot of laps on the track and want to get Martin in the car as soon as we can, too, because he's been really good this weekend, and he's got a shot with a race-winning car, and we want to get him in there as soon as we can, because then that puts us right back in the back of the pack again. So we want to do that as soon as we can, but hope that first caution will come kind of early for us.
Your mom, Brenda, has played a big role this weekend.
Yeah, she's stepped up to the plate. Every time she's just like every other mother out there. Every time I've been sick or anything, she's been right there. But she just, we got to wrap these wounds every day, and she's took some of the toughest criticism that I could dish out, and some of the most vocal language I've ever spit out of my mouth before, and took it in stride. And she's been there every minute. She's helped me out get through this weekend.
Well, trying to make the best of a bad situation, he's called on not only his friend, but the young man who's the points leader in the NASCAR Busch Series, who drives his Chance 2 car, and he's standing by with Dave Burns.
And no, Matt, you are not seeing double. This is Martin Truex Jr., and Martin, of course, making his first attempt in a Nextel Cup race. There's always a little pressure for that, but you've got to drive the red number 8. Are you ready for what they've asked you to do?
Yeah, I think so. We've had a pretty good weekend in the car. I felt real comfortable. Tony Jr. and them guys have done a really good job making me, feel at home and everything. So just got to thank them for the opportunity, and hopefully we can get in there quick and help get Junior some points for that championship.
Well, no other driver has ever driven the number 8 Budweiser Chevy in race conditions. Today, that's going to change. Let's go to Marty Snyder.
Well, Dave, the other story of the weekend is just how fast Ryan Newman has been, today's pole sitter. And in terms of the chase for the championship, you guys have kind of backpedaled the last few weeks. How critical is a win here in the last 8 races before the cut, Ryan?
We didn't backpedal. We had our feet off the pegs.
Yeah, that too.
We just got caught last week or 2 weeks ago with that tire at Chicago. But I think we got definitely a car and a team that has a lot of potential and can move forward. And if we just keep our nose looking that direction, then we'll be doing good.
Ryan Newman, the last man other than Jimmy Johnson to win a race here at New Hampshire. Johnson won both races here in 2003, and in the process turned everybody else's world upside down.
Whoa! Oh, man, look at the 48 guys right up on the hood.
Jimmy Johnson sweeping New Hampshire International Speedway races in 2003.
And Jimmy Johnson hopes to turn the competition upside down today. 3 in a row. Can you do it?
I hope so. Unfortunately, at Lowe's Motor Speedway and also at Dover, last year in my rookie season, I wasn't able to back it up with a 3-peat. But I look forward to changing it today. I just have to be true to myself and realize that I haven't done it yet. But I've got a great race car, great race team, and hopefully we change those odds that have been working against us for a 3-peat.
When you see that video, do you think more about the win or more about your guys?
My guys, obviously, for being hit on pit road, but watching that tease, I had the goosebumps, and I hope I'm on the front stretch doing burnouts like that again.
All right, we'll be watching. Now, you qualified second, so you guys get to pick second as far as pit stalls are concerned.
Yep.
What are you doing way down there?
We like to have a clean pit road, a clean area on pit road at the end of the day. In the beginning, it will hurt us, but we've had a lot of success down there. There's really not a lot of traffic once you get some cars a lap down and in or out of our pits. So we'll just see what happens. It's worked good for us twice down there. That's why we picked down there again. We won both times last year from down there, even with one of our guys being hit on pit road or 3 of our guys being hit on pit road. So I'm excited. This Lowe's team's been working so good together. Obviously, we're racing with heavy hearts. The loss of Papa Joe Hendrick. So at a minimum, we need a Hendrick car in victory lane today to take a trophy back home.
Well said. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Jimmy Johnson, and he's currently the point leader in the championship standings, now 105 in front of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here's a look at the top 20 heading into the race today in New Hampshire. The top 6 positions unchanged after Chicago. Sadler now 7th, and Harvick from 10th to 8th. Right now, Ryan Newman holds the final spot in the chase for the championship. Remember, only the top 10 in points, and drivers within 400 points of the leader will be eligible to win the Nextel Cup in the final 10-race tournament. That's only the first lap. Here's what's coming up on the Discover Card Countdown to Green. Last week, everyone followed Tony Stewart to the finish line, but controversy seems to follow him everywhere. Car owner Joe Gibbs on why the starter doesn't get sacked. Dave discovers making the driver change. Don't hurt your driver and try not to hurt your chances. Overtime comes to NASCAR. Green-white checkers. Will it make for a happy ending, or is this just a fairy tale? Benny Parsons visits the team doctor, and Wally takes an evil lap around Loudon with the son of a legend. All that and Casey Kane when the Discover Card Countdown to Green continues. Back in New Hampshire, where the talk in the garage this weekend has been about personal agendas and anger among those in attendance in a brawl involving the participants. Not a preview of the Democratic convention. They're talking about the race in Chicago 2 weeks ago, where 2 of the leading candidates for the victory had different visions, and everyone wanted a voice in the debate.
Oh, just as we come back to Chicagoland, that's the race leader, Casey Kane.
There's a big fight in the 20 pit. Tommy Baldwin, a number of the Dodge guys came down to talk to the 20 crew members. They are trying to break this up. Huge altercation down here in the 20 pit, guys.
Obviously the 20 got in the back of me, but I don't know what the deal is there.
Two do have a history. Do you think it was personal or just racing?
Well, you never know with him.
I'd like to have 10 minutes with Tony Stewart. I'll handle it myself. What happened there was unnecessary. NASCAR needs to do something about it before somebody gets hurt. Now, I've got a crew chief and other guys that work so hard on this car. Everybody's ready to fight, and it's the same guy week in, week out. Something needs to be done.
Just Tony Stewart doing what he's been doing all year, driving like a moron. You know, there's no reason to do that stuff, and he gets away with it all he wants, and all NASCAR does is fine him. He's got plenty of money. The guy needs to sit out a race.
He definitely needs to be suspended. He needs to have his ass beat. That's the problem with him. Nobody's ever really grabbed him and give him a good beating. And if he doesn't get suspended, maybe I'll do that.
Emotion certainly running high 2 weeks ago at Chicago. Now, Casey, you and Tony have been playing phone tag. Have you had a chance to talk yet?
No, we haven't talked. He called me, I called him back, and haven't talked, but I've raced some sprint cars, SK Modifieds, done a lot since then, so we've forgot about that and just look forward to today.
Surprise you if you won your first race on this track today?
Oh, definitely would. I mean, you know, we run good here yesterday in the Great Clips car, and I think we have a great shot today. Tommy Baldwin did an awesome job with the car, all the guys did, and we got a fast race car, so we'll see what happens. Tommy Baldwin, as crew chief, has 4 wins in different divisions here on the Magic Mile. Casey starts 6. Bill?
Thanks, Matt. Now, Tony Stewart is a former series champion. He has 18 career wins. He's currently 4th in the championship standings, and today he starts 9th. He was not penalized or fined for the incident in Chicago. Halfway through this year, it has been a typical Tony Stewart season, stormy and successful. Marty Snotter talked with car owner Joe Gibbs as he prepares for his return to the Washington Redskins to tackle this issue. Is this giant of a racer more like a bear or just a hard charger?
I think what a lot of people love about Tony Stewart is his emotion, the way he cares about it. His, you know, he's going to drive that thing as hard as he can every week, and he's got a very competitive spirit. He knows right now he's got 2 strikes against him, and he doesn't want. And I told him, I said, hey, Tony, one thing we don't want you to do is ever drive the car with less emotion, everything you have. We love that. I mean, he's the only guy I've ever seen that he gets spun out in the back or something. He doesn't care. He kind of loves it. Hey, I'm coming from the back. So we love that kind of emotion, so hopefully he'll never lose that. He also realizes right now he's kind of got 2 strikes against him, and he doesn't want anything to happen. He did not like that this week. You could hear him talking to Zippy and everything. He did not like that idea that, you know, he was in that situation. He was concerned.
What happens on the 3rd strike?
I think, you know, I don't think he can afford a 3rd strike. I think he knows it. We all know it. And so you hate that we're in that situation, but we are. And so, but at the same time, I always want to me, it's more of the total person and the total situation and making sure we're always fair. But he knows he can't let himself get put in a bad position. And one way I hate that's happened, but that is life, and he understands it.
Who is responsible for controlling Tony?
I'd say that, you know, with any person like that, particularly somebody that's in the limelight in a sport like that, it really goes back eventually to that person. Mm-hmm. But I look at it as we're all a team. It's our responsibility. That means Joe Gibbs Racing, starting with me, JD, all the way down through this company, and Tony.
Can he be controlled?
I don't think we're as much wanting to control him or persuade him to be a certain way. We love the emotion. We love the way he drives a race car. But in all sports, there's rules, and there's how far you can go. In football, you know, there's a lot of situations there where people step over the line. It costs them, you know, their careers. It's stupid, you know, and I see it all the time. I think that what Tony has to understand is all the situations, how the fact that his past, you know, he has had situations there that add to the future, and he can't be put in those situations again. I think he's determined to do that. And so we're not looking to control him. It's just he's got to be careful about the situation he gets in, knowing how much publicity it gets. Whenever Tony Stewart does something, it's, you know, it's a big deal.
Joe Gibbs also told me in that interview, not only is he behind Tony Stewart, but his entire team is behind Tony Stewart. But Tony, there's been incidents in the last few weeks with Brian Vickers and then Casey Kane 2 weeks ago. Do you feel your critics and your competitors have judged you too harshly and maybe too quickly?
Well, I think there's times we've deserved it, and then, you know, there's cases like last week where we didn't do anything wrong, and, you know, but the past leads people to judge you right off the bat. So, you know, I think it's easy to do in competitors' cases. I mean, it's an emotional sport we're in, and
you know, a lot of times the day after is a day that you can reflect on it and, you know, take the emotion out of it and draw the logical conclusions.
You guys have tried to talk, but when do you expect to talk to Kasey Kahne?
I don't know. We got the biggest game of tag on a phone tag going on, but I know we'll talk this week. I mean, you know, Kasey and I came from the same background. You know, I worked hard to help Kasey get his ride with Ray, knowing that that's what he wanted to do. So, you know, Kasey and I will get everything straightened out. I mean, you know, we're both open wheel guys. We know what this is all about. There's no war between us by any means. I mean, I like Kasey, and I wanted to help him as much as I could, help him get his ride. So nobody's more proud of what he's been able to do this year than me.
In light of all that's gone on, do you drive with the same emotion and intensity today, Tony?
More. That's my job. I mean, you know, I'm not backing down from anything. I mean, if I thought I was doing stuff wrong, I'd have to back down a little bit. But, you know, stuff like last week, you know, have I made mistakes this year? Sure. You know, judgmental errors and trying to push too hard and that caused accidents? Sure. But, you know, there's times I've done stuff wrong and there's times I haven't. But, you know, you can't change the way you race. If you do that, then you're not really a good race driver, I don't think.
Waving to the fans as we go around the racetrack for the 4th time in his career. This man will go for back-to-back wins. Bill?
I noticed Marty was waving too there. Yeah. Ward Burton won here in July of 2002. He starts 12th. Elliott Sadler's best finisher, 8th last September. He starts 13th. They plan to go to distance, but if they can't, Dave Burns has a look at what will happen next.
Discover Card Countdown to Green, brought to you by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Wendy's new home-style chicken strip salad, a sensational salad that really satisfies. Wendy's, it's better here.
Today, the Nextel Cup Series races under a new and what I think is one of the most controversial midseason rule changes in the modern era. It's a rule change that might leave fans at Talladega and Pocono seeing red. If this race reaches the scheduled distance under caution, competitors will be given 2 green flag laps to try and decide a winner in a green flag, white flag, checkered flag format. In the garage, it has received mixed reviews.
If you want to give me a choice of green, white, checkered or the lucky dog, I'll take the green, white, checkered, and let's throw that lucky dog deal away.
If I was a fan sitting in the stands and didn't have a chance to see a green flag finish, it'd probably rub me the wrong way too. So I think it's been a good call. I also have to commend NASCAR in making sure that we don't have a fiasco like we saw in the truck race at St. Louis with 4 attempts at it.
I'm hoping that it just doesn't come into play that often, but you know what? It can go in your favor and it can go against you. So I think over the long run, you know, it's really going to be a wash, but it's certainly going to keep things exciting and you know, from a driver's standpoint, going to keep us on our toes.
I love the NASCAR guys, but I think that they all held hands and jumped off the cliff together in this one. It was absolutely the wrong decision. I've been in those situations where I've been hurt real bad. I've landed in a helicopter. I've been in a hospital for 3 days with tubes coming out of me because of a green, white, checker restart, basically. And there's nothing ever good that comes out of those things.
Now just getting to the finish could be a challenge for the 8 bunch today. As you've heard, they plan to try and make the difficult driver change as early as possible. Dave, the 8 guys want to get Earnhardt out and Truex in. How's the Bud crew going to do it?
Well, the best case scenario for him, Bill, is that the caution flag will come out and the field will slow down. At that time, Junior and everybody else, by the way, will come down pit road. Junior will immediately begin loosening his shoulder harnesses, and then while he's still moving, he'll pop the release on his straps, and surgical tubing is attached to him. They'll spring load away. Then when he stops in his pit box, his crew will jump in both windows. He will take the steering wheel off and get out of the car. As he's doing so, the crew will help him get out. His knees are still the most sensitive part for him. Martin Truex will jump in, today played by Wally Dallenbach. The crew will go in through the window to try to help put the harnesses on. Wally, what's the hardest part about that?
Well, David, I've got my helmet and my head neck restraint. I can't see the belt, so I'm no help.
So the crew is doing everything. They'll try to buckle him in. Remember, they got a minute 15 to do this as the pace car circles under caution and not lose a lap. The crew puts a window net up. NASCAR will make sure that he's belted and that the window net is fastened before they will let him go. Now, if he goes back out, he has to put on the fresh air hose in his radio. They can come back in, make another stop, and also service the car, Bill. But it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, Dave, that's the perfect scenario under caution. What if they have to do it under green?
30-second laps, these cars will be going under green, and at that time, they'll have to get everything done the first time, and that would be the worst-case scenario for them.
All right, Dave, well done, and thank Wally for us, too. When these teams come to the track, they bring everything they possibly can think of to be competitive. That includes essential personnel and all the important equipment. Now, in the case of Hendrick Motorsports, that means bringing along a team doctor and that helps every team operate more successfully.
Morning, boys. How we doing? Everybody staying healthy? How you feeling?
Good, Doctor. How are you?
Good. Life treating you well?
Real well.
Scott McNair is the team doctor for Hendrick Motorsports. His full-time practice is in South Carolina. But once a week, he makes the 40-mile drive to the Charlotte area for a very special house call.
Come up here, make sure everybody's okay. Make sure there aren't any problems going into the weekend. If there are, call the medical liaison nurse for NASCAR. Let her know what's going on so that she can help set it up and take care of things at the track. And then when I get there on Sunday, make sure everything's doing okay. And if there's any problems, take care of them at that point. Any pain when we squeeze? Just right there. No problem with your ears on the plane? So no sinus things, just a simple headache.
You're a doctor, but also a friend of these fellows.
Yeah.
And that's where you want it to be.
Yeah, because it keeps things very approachable. Any problems with the medicine?
No, everything's going good right now.
You come here every week, you know the people, they know you, they'll approach you with questions they probably wouldn't ask a regular doctor because either they're embarrassed about the question or they're not sure about how to ask the question. A lot of the grinding and stuff like that, it's all air-driven tools, and those air-driven tools are murder on the ears, and hearing loss, once it's gone, it's pretty much gone.
And it must be nice to do your doctoring with blue jeans and a shirt and what have you.
Yeah, it's a nice casual atmosphere. Normally I wear scrubs.
Do you?
Yeah, so it's kind of, actually this is a little bit dressed up for me. But it's basically just an old simple family medicine making house calls.
And they don't pay you in chickens like they used to, right?
No, they don't.
Dozen eggs, right?
Now they pay in a rack of lamb.
Jeff Burton starts 27th today, looking for his first win in 95 starts. He could be looking in the right place. 4 career wins at Loudon.
Discover Card Countdown to Green is brought to you by Discover Card. It pays to discover. And by Wagner. Be a super painter with the full line of Wagner power painting tools. Paint fast, paint smart.
Evel Knievel's crazy. The guy is just absolutely insane.
He risked his life, week in and week out to entertain people.
That guy's got more broken bones than anybody.
We race 200 miles per hour, but at least we have a roll bar cage around us.
Oh, Evel Knievel was a man.
I think he was doing something that nobody in his era could do.
Evel Knievel, when I was growing up, was probably who I wanted to be. I didn't want to be Richard Petty or Kel Yarborough or Buddy Baker. I wanted to be Evel Knievel. He just exemplified what kids were all about. We were taking our bicycles and trying to jump over stuff.
I had one of those Evel Knievel motorcycles, where you launched it and off it went.
It's definitely somebody as a kid, we always watch films on him and watch and see what he's going to do next.
He'd probably make a hell of a race car driver.
And this coming Friday night, a lot of those guys will be watching the TNT original Evel Knievel. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights next weekend. And Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Evel's son Robbie Knievel will attempt to jump live on TNT on the deck of the USS Intrepid. And if you think that's brave, this weekend he rode with Wally.
Welcome to Loudon, New Hampshire in my Mountain Dew car with my special guest, the man, the legend, Captain Robbie Knievel. Now, I know he jumps motorcycles high, and I really never consider him a daredevil. I know what you do takes a lot of practice, but riding with me, now that's being a daredevil, buddy.
You're going awful slow there, Wally.
Okay, here we go. Have you ever hit a wall?
Don't be going so close to the wall.
How do you like me now? All right, now.
Why are you going so close to my wall?
Because it's over there on your side. I wouldn't dare get that close if I was over there.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Hey.
Hang on, baby.
You want to wipe me out, don't you? You guys are crazy.
You got a big jump coming up this weekend. What are you jumping over this weekend?
I'm jumping over 6 World War I and II planes.
Very cool.
It's going to be great. Hey, quit talking to me. I'm trying to pay attention here. Jesus.
I drive better when I'm not paying attention.
Think I'm going to puke. Think they have a bag in that ambulance?
That being the case, I guess it's a good thing Robbie's not afraid of heights. Back to the grid and to the back half of the pack. And here's Matt.
Bill, in 2 months, this racetrack will host the first race in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Jeff, how much is today's race a test for September?
It's a big test. We decided not to test here, just to use this race as a test. You know, obviously we come here to win, and we want to put a solid effort together, but we also want to, you know, try some things that maybe we wouldn't, you know, get a chance to try under normal conditions with the old point system. So, you know, we're trying to be smart about where we test and when we test, and you know, I thought it'd be best if we come up here, and the team thought it'd be best if we come up here. Obviously, what we tried on Friday didn't work, so hopefully what we've got underneath the DuPont Chevrolet today will certainly pay off for us. I felt really good yesterday, so looking forward to trying to get it up to the front here with my teammate.
3 wins here in the Magic Mile. Jeff starts 24th. Marty?
Jamie McMurray's last words to his team in final practice yesterday. This car is awesome. So is awesome good enough to win?
I think so. You know, last year, or in the fall last year, the racetrack changed a lot from happy hour to the race, but we put some adjustments in the car, didn't change anything this morning, and if we can put ourselves in a position to win at the end, we'll have a shot.
Dave?
Michael Waltrip's third top 5 start in a row here at New Hampshire. Michael, can you finish in the top 5 today?
Definitely. We had a really fast car here last fall, ran right up front, and had some problems late in the going, but when we left here last fall, we kind of earmarked Loudon as a place where we'd come get us a victory, and qualified well and ran well yesterday in happy hour. So look for the old Napa Chevy to be up front.
Michael's looking for his first win of 2004. Bill?
Thanks, Dave. Dale Earnhardt Jr. talking it over with NASCAR official Steve Peterson, getting ready to climb in the car. We'll see how far he can go when they take the green flag. The countdown is at 0, and NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing returns to TNT next.
This has been the Discover Card Countdown to Green. Let's go racing.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire, trackside for the pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please stand. Gentlemen, please remove your hats for our invocation and national anthem. Our invocation today will be given by the Most Reverend Michael Cody, Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Norwich, Connecticut. Bishop Cody.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, out of your infinite love, you have called us into being and sustain us daily. For the gift of life, we praise your holy name. Look kindly upon your people who have gathered for this NASCAR Nextel Cup race. Be present in a special way to the drivers in today's race. Bless their families. May they always remain united in your love. We ask this through Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever.
Please remain standing for the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner. It will be sung by Denise Doucette of Milan, New Hampshire, and signed by Linda Diaz.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming in the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. will now begin the ordeal of climbing into the car. The goal, get him out of that car as quickly as possible. hoping they can do it under caution. The drivers can feel the New Hampshire heat beginning to build. The command coming up next. 43 drivers getting ready for 317.4 miles in New Hampshire.
That's the race leader, the checkered flag is in sight. Tony Stewart with his first win of 2004. Ryan Newman goes to victory lane.
Dream come true, first Winston Cup win.
Jimmy Johnson wins the New England 300. Way to go, boys!
TNT Sports presents the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, live from Loudon, New Hampshire. The second half of the Nextel Cup campaign kicks off in minutes, and many of the challengers focused on the race to the final gavel at Richmond. Today, the objective is to get the win and gain enough points so you can hope to secure a spot on NASCAR's top 10 ballot. It can be a very difficult task. Those New Hampshire ballots go out today, and here to analyze the results, three gentlemen that firmly believe in the two-party system, because one party a week just isn't enough. Alan Bestwick, Wally Dallenbach, and Benny Parsons.
And we have no hanging chads in this booth either. Benny and Wally, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's got a tough task today. He's going to start the car, obviously in a great deal of discomfort. They're going to put his team, a rookie, behind the wheel to relief drive.
Yeah.
What will be a good day for them? What do they want to accomplish today?
Well, I spoke with Tony Jr. today, and this is just a bonus. They've got a guy that came up here earlier, tested both the 15 and the 8 cars, got a lot of laps here, and he's running really well. So they just feel the way the new point system is, they really dodged a bullet on this one, and they're just looking for a good finish, and even a good finish is a top 20 finish. They're just looking to come out of here with a decent run and lose the least amount of points as possible.
I asked Benny just before we came on the air here what he wanted to talk about. And he said, I want to give the fans something to look for toward the end of the race. And I said, what? And he said, cleanliness. Cleanliness?
Well, yesterday, the NASCAR Busch Series race, for 200 laps, we saw guys, pretenders and contenders, put themselves out of contention by crashing, making bad pit stops. At the end of the race, Matt Kenseth won the race with a car, not one tire mark, not one dent in the race car. I think that's what you've got to do, is be there at the end of the race with a good, clean race car.
And like yesterday, we're going to see all kinds of different pit strategies played for people to get track position, try and get up front, and try and slide into victory lane. 91,000 fans are on their feet and ready for 4 words to get today's race started.
Ladies and gentlemen, direct your attention to the start-finish line. Here to give the command to start the Siemens 300 is our Grand Marshal, Mike Herrick of Biogen IDEC. Drivers, start your engines!
The engines are started. That means the green flag is just moments away. The race begins next. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing from Loudon on TNT is brought to you by Nextel, coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR Nextel, partners in speed. By Chevrolet and your local Chevrolet dealer. By Budweiser, it's time for a fresh one. Grab a Budweiser, the race is on. And by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. Eating good in the neighborhood.
This racetrack so well supported by the NASCAR fans of New England. 91,000 seats, long since sold out. You see the campers surrounding on the acreage around the racetrack. Fans have been coming in here since a week ago, all waiting for this moment when the field of 43 of NASCAR's best roll out onto the racetrack and take the green flag. Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is the proud sponsor of the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup race. Rocket Man Ryan Newman did it again. First time in over a month it wasn't Jeff Gordon. You see the 9 drivers qualified for the Budweiser Shootout next February. Ryan Newman, the Budweiser pole winner here at New Hampshire. And now we'll look at the starting lineup for today's race. Newman with Jimmy Johnson alongside of the front row. Johnson trying to make it 3 consecutive wins at this racetrack.
And back in row 2 on the inside, Martin Truex Jr. jumped in the 8 car, qualified at 3rd. Junior's in it now. He will go to the rear of the field because of the driver change. Michael Waltrip on the outside.
Michael came so close to winning both races here last year. You heard from Jamie McMurray a minute ago and Kasey Kahne earlier on Discover Card Countdown to Green. A couple guys with good race cars could be threats to win at the end of the day. And Rusty Wallace won the inaugural race here at New Hampshire International Speedway, or won a race at New Hampshire many years ago. And there he is in row 4.
Let's see if we can get a hold of Rusty. Hey, Rusty, this is Wally in the booth. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
All right, well, you saw a lot of different strategies yesterday in the Busch race. Do you guys have one today?
Well, I couldn't hear you real good, but we had a good race yesterday, no doubt about that. And learned a little bit from yesterday's Busch race, that's for sure. Hopefully we have a good run today. Expect the track to be real slick the first 10 or 12 laps, and after that it should neutralize.
You got a great qualifying spot there. How was your car?
A little tight from the center out, a little loose in. We made some adjustments last night. Hopefully we hit it, but I'm sure we'll be working on it throughout the day, just like everybody else.
Okay, good luck, Rusty.
Thanks a lot.
Rusty Wallace, indeed the winner of the inaugural race here back in 1993. Starts in row number 4. You look at the rest of the starting lineup. There are a couple of former New Hampshire winners way back in row 13. Mark Martin and Dale Jarrett, and the winningest driver in this track's history.
4 times Jeff Burton has one year. See, back in 15, Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Green.
Matt Kenseth.
Man, I tell you, you just got to go to the back to find Kenseth, but you know, at the end, he's usually up near the front.
And won the NASCAR Busch Series race here yesterday afternoon, and we showed you live on TNT. Ricky Rudd, another former New Hampshire winner. And Jimmy Spencer, Mike Wallace back in row 18. Final spots on time went to Sterling Marlin and Scott Wimmer. And now those who got in on provisional starting spots by the NASCAR rulebook. Kyle Petty, Todd Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, Ted Christopher, NASCAR veteran who won a Featherlight Modified Series race here last night. He's going to drive Kirk Shelmerdine's car from row 21. And Hermie Sadler brings up the back of the field out of Virginia. Failed to qualify. Kyle Busch had a crash in his qualifying lap, unable to make the race. Kevin LePage also. And we talked about the Dale Earnhardt Jr. situation. Because Truex Jr. qualified the car because of the driver change, Earnhardt Jr. goes to the back. Ted Christopher's team changed an engine this morning, a violation of NASCAR rules. Let's get some final stories from pit road before we go green. Dave?
Alan, Jeremy Mayfield tested a car here a total of 600 miles to try to get ready for this race. He's only 65 points out of 10th place and a chance to be in the chase for the championship. Marty?
Dave, it was announced earlier this week that Ricky Craven will not be back in the 32 car after the end of this year. Ricky said he's not going to take the first ride available. He's going to take his time, but he's in front of the hometown fans today with his best starting position of the year in 10th. Matt?
Big weekend, could get even bigger for Terry Labonte. Today marks his 800th career start. In 4 of the last 6 races, he's scored top 10 finishes. He starts 11th. Maybe that'll change again today and scores first New Hampshire win.
300 laps, 317 miles the distance today, and they're coming down for the start. We're underway at New Hampshire.
Rusty Wallace said these first few laps are going to be really, really tough. They are. A little bit tough is an understatement. These cars are really, really squirrely when the pressures are down, and you got new tires. Very slick.
And the last race run on this pavement, a modified race last night. So the rubber is different than these guys use on these Goodyear radial tires.
And it's probably the warmest they've ever been on the track so far this weekend with the temperatures.
Tiptoeing through 3 and 4 on the first lap.
Robbie Gordon got into the back of Kevin Harvick, got him sideways, but they collected it.
That's Gordon, the big orange nose car there just behind Jeff Gordon. Everybody saved it. We're clean through lap 1. Ryan Newman leads. Jimmy Johnson is second. Michael Waltrip third. Jamie McMurray fourth. And still the big traffic jam.
Here's what I was talking about. Watch on the bottom. Robbie Gordon, 3 wide, tags the 29 car. Got him sideways, but checked up and let him save it.
Let's go on board with Robbie Gordon. That's a car that he definitely does not want to spin out. A teammate. Oh, man, oh, man. All right. Kevin Harvick, what did he feel going in the corner?
He felt uneasy.
Very uneasy for about 3 seconds, yes.
Harvick now running back in 19th place. Robbie Gordon is in 23rd. Smoking behind him.
31 cars.
Looks like Robbie's car, yeah. He may have got a fender down on that tire. from that contact, possibly on the right front.
It looked okay. Looked okay that time.
Okay.
Yep. Jeff Gordon there wrestling with Kevin Harvick. That's for 19th and 20th spots. Remember, Gordon came into this weekend trying to win a 5th straight pole position. It did not work out very well in qualifying. He's back in 24th.
But those guys, I talked to Robbie Loomis this morning in the 24 car. They were real happy with their car after practice. They were not happy after qualifying, but they got the car working really good race trim, and they were pretty optimistic.
And Michael Waltrip takes a 15 car to 2nd spot. And here comes Jamie McMurray trying to get on the inside of Jimmy Johnson.
And that'll be for 3rd. Michael Waltrip could have won both races here at New Hampshire a year ago. Very strong car in each. Got black flagged because his tailpipes were dragging late in this race a year ago last July. And then in September came down pit road for a splash of gasoline leading. And the fuel can hung in the car. He dragged it out of the pit box, had to come back in for a penalty. So much for that. Continues to try and work Johnson for 3rd. Ryan Newman is out in front of Michael Waltrip by 0.8 of a second. Bill?
And that's exactly where they plan to stay. This team very confident about this car. Talked to crew chief Matt Borland this morning, said it's their Las Vegas car. They've made very few changes, and any changes they have made on this car, minor since they took it off the truck. Their goal, get out front, stay out front, lead them all, beat them all.
Bill, not only is all the guys on the 12 car confident, I think most of the crews in here are confident that the 12 car is the car to beat today. There's no doubt about it. He has shown a tremendous amount of speed.
So Newman continues to lead.
And that's the place you want to be. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen the Busch race. You want that clean air, and we see it every week. And although this isn't a big aerodynamic racetrack, you still need all the help you can get. And I think if you're not behind another car, you know, you're not losing that air, you're not losing that downforce, so you want to be out front.
Just as a refresher, as we watch this race for 3rd, see how difficult it is for Jamie McMurray to use the low lane to pass Jimmy Johnson. 42 trying to go by 48. This racetrack's configuration a little different than most.
Yeah, it is, and what you have to do, and he did it perfect, if you can get in side by side into the corner, if your car rolls a little bit better in the center and you can get on the throttle, you can make the pass. We see here Jeremy Mayfield down on the bottom 48 car. Now what he's going to try to do, he's going to try to stay next to him as long as he can. But it's really hard getting off the corner side by side because the car on the outside is in your groove. So you can't use all the racetrack.
The bottom lane of pavement below that first broken line is flatter than where the 19 is running, which is flatter than where the 48 is running, and that's why it's so difficult to race underneath someone. The most banking to help the car turn is a little farther up the racetrack.
When they repaved the racetrack a couple of years ago, the yellow line used to be up where the red car, Jeremy Mayfield is. They repaved the apron of the racetrack. So you're right, Alan, it is much flatter down on that part of the racetrack, more bank. Oh, here we see Junior trying to go to the front. He's trying to take the 33rd spot, 32nd spot away from Sterling Marlin.
Remember, he started back in 43rd.
Dave, has he said anything to the crew about how he feels inside the car?
He has said nothing, BP, quiet on the radio, but as Martin Truex Jr. stands by, keep this in mind. One reason why they like Martin coming into the car, he fits. The driver's compartment is a very personal space to work in, and Martin Truex is the same size as Dale Earnhardt Jr. No adjustments will be needed to the seats, no adjustments will be needed to the belts. When he gets in, they can clamp him in and go.
Don't forget, every car and every spot that Earnhardt Jr. can get, that buys him time on pit lane, because you're going to have to come in the pit. If the yellow comes out, you want to be up as far as you can. Those are seconds. If you come in at the end of the line, that pace car's got a long ways, or not so far to go around and get you lapped. So he's trying to get to the field and trying to get, to the middle of the field would be great. If the yellow came out, then he's not the last guy.
The minute and a half that you and Dave talked about on the Dave Discovers with the driver change is the time it takes the pace car to make a lap. Right. But if you're 25 seconds behind the pace car, that minute and a half becomes a minute 5 to make the change before you get lapped. So Earnhardt Jr. trying to buy himself some time for the change when the first caution comes out. Ryan Newman is your leader early in the Siemens 300 at New Hampshire. Just to the north and west of the Granite State's capital of Concord is Loudon, New Hampshire, and the 1 mile New Hampshire International Speedway, where NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing comes to you today live on TNT. Next week, it's off to Pocono in Pennsylvania
for the Nextel Cup Series race on the giant 2.5-mile track. 2 weeks from today, the Brickyard 400 from Indianapolis as we check our Wendy's race menu. The road course in Watkins Glen, the big 2-mile track in Michigan, and then the Saturday night race at Bristol. A lot of great action coming up as we count down the race to the chase here on TNT and NBC. Ryan Newman, the race leader, 1 1/10 seconds over Michael Waltrip is his advantage. Jamie McMurray, 42 car, holding down third behind Waltrip. Then you get to Jeremy Mayfield in fourth, and Casey Kane running fifth.
Never see Casey Kane, the 9 car, following closely his teammate Jeremy Mayfield. And right behind them, believe it or not, is Tony Stewart. It's amazing how that works out.
It's one of those delicious racing ironies, isn't it? Whenever two guys tangle on the track the week before, they're either parked next to each other in the garage the week after, or they end up on the racetrack right after that.
They usually got a ride in the pickup around the racetrack, being introduced to the fans together.
Normally how it always happens. But I'll guarantee you the 20 car gets up to the 9 car. He's going to give them a lot of room. What are they saying about Casey's car there, Matt?
Well, Wally, Casey's car going very strong, but you know, you're talking a lot about the 9 and 20 teams. Guess what? They're pitted right next to each other. There is a small opening, but just showing how these guys have a lot of class. And to put last Chicago 2 weeks ago behind them, they were actually helping the 20 guys adjust the tape on pit road. There's an opening, but it's a smaller opening. The jump mark, an orange piece of tape, that's when Tony reaches that mark, the guys can jump over the wall. Just showing a lot of class, helping those guys out.
I figured it was they just didn't want to go so far to fight.
Yes. It's kind of like a couple of hockey benches there, right? Just got to have the little gap in between them.
Bill Pink checking everything out.
And there's the 20 pit stall.
Engine tuner for Evernham Motorsports.
Just got to love it. $1 will buy you a lot at NASCAR.com. If you're familiar with NASCAR.com's Track Pass program, get it for a month for $1. Find out more at NASCAR.com.
$1 almost free.
I was going to say that's a cup of coffee, but at some places a cup of coffee costs you a bit more than $1, huh? Ryan Newman edging a little bit away from Michael Waltrip now. Top 5 fairly static, although Casey Kane has just passed Jeremy Mayfield to pick up 4th spot. And now Mayfield is in 5th ahead of Tony Stewart. You see the gap there from Ryan Newman to Michael Waltrip. The guy who's slipping back a little bit is 48, Jimmy Johnson.
He is struggling. He's all the way back to the 7th position. I talked to Chad Knaus, the crew chief for this 48 car this morning, and they changed everything on the car this morning. Wholesale changes. He must not like it, Marty.
Yeah, they weren't very happy yesterday, BP, as you mentioned. Rusty Wallace trying to find his way around Jimmy Johnson. And what they said, they went back to the setup they've had here the last year. And so they weren't very happy with the car. A little loose from the center off, a little right rear, too aggressive, they're saying, is what Jimmy said on the radio just a moment ago. But they did go back closer to the setup they added last year. But remember, we've had aerodynamic changes since then with the spoiler. So it's a lot different, but they do have the setup that won here both races last year.
Check out different lines in the corners. Partly determined by how your car is performing, how it's gripping the racetrack.
Now, the guys I talked to in the 48 this morning, they thought their car would start getting better after about 30 laps. So, 25 laps right now, we'll see.
Johnson way up top there. Rusty Wallace trying to dig that bottom line underneath him. And that's all going on well behind Ryan Newman. NASCAR spotters around the racetrack are checking Carl Wong's car for smoke, but we remain under the green flag. The Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, is out in front, searching for a second win here in New England. Still under green as NASCAR on TNT brings you the Nextel Cup Series from New Hampshire International Speedway. Ryan Newman leading Michael Waltrip as they complete the 31st of 300 laps. Our Stacker 2 NASCAR Nextel Cup track fact. 3 drivers have scored their first series win here at this speedway. Joe Nemechek, Robbie Gordon, and Ryan Newman. Remember, Robbie Gordon was on that Thanksgiving weekend race when he and Jeff Gordon got into it. Joe Nemechek with the memorable win here in, what was that, September '99? And, of course, Ryan Newman, an emotional day, scoring his first win in a rain-shortened event in 2002.
There's one uncomfortable man in that 8 car right now, I believe.
You think so, huh?
And the thing is, he may not even be bothering him so much now, but when he gets out of that race car, after about 5 or 10 minutes, he's going to really start feeling it. It's probably the worst thing in the world is burns. Very, very uncomfortable. The last thing you want to do is get in a hot race car.
Oh, check this out. Michael Waltrip trying to go by Newman on the outside.
Oh, he's going to get blocked.
Oh, looks like the 22 of Scott Wimmer's going to be the pick.
Hey, block him in there.
Wimmer, last car on the lead lap, 38th place, trying to stay in front of the leaders, but it's not going to work.
Now Michael will follow him through.
That's called wrong lane choice. It's kind of like pulling up to the toll booth. You know, which one's going to go more quickly? And I always pick the wrong one.
So do I.
And I've ridden with you there.
I don't have good luck with that, do I?
A lot of that depends on who your competition is, isn't it, Alan?
Yeah, that's true. I got the right one here Thursday. Oh, that's another story. So Waltrip has to regroup and remount his attack on Ryan Newman, and they still work through some lap traffic. Here's Kyle Petty they're trying to go around. Michael Waltrip, remember, one of those drivers on the bubble. He's within reach of making the chase for the Nextel Cup, but he's got 8 races to make up a lot of ground. Waltrip comes into this weekend 213 points behind 10th place.
Well, guess what? They're going to be in traffic for the rest of the day.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what some of the guys talked about in the garage here this morning, that Newman was fast enough that if this race were to go 40, 50 laps, he'd have half the field a lap down. He's that fast. And obviously Michael Waltrip as fast as Newman.
He's lapped up to 37th place Kyle Petty at this point. Newman has. Next in line will be 36th place Mike Wallace. And you see the race to the chase as they run in the race right now in relation to 10th place. The points as they stand, if you will. Kurt Busch would be the 10th place driver, and there are the gap farther down to 15th place.
And those points are from up to the 10th position.
Checking on Dale Jr. He's in 30th place now. Remember, he started 43rd.
But these guys, Davey's got to go pretty quickly because the leaders are in the same straightaway to put Junior a lap down.
And they don't want to lose that lap now. They were afraid they'd lose it during the driver change, so he's trying to pick it up as much as he can. Really hasn't said anything to his crew. They fully believe that they can make the driver change and possibly win this race with Martin Truex. They've talked of nothing else. Nothing about failure, nothing about doing it wrong. They've been very confident about what Junior can do here, and so far they're on plan.
You know, Dave, it would have been better, though, if they could have got a caution before they started putting these cars a lap down. Then even if he got a lap down, he would have been the lucky dog, and then Truex could have come back and got on the same lap. But now it's going to be tougher if it stays green, because he's going to lose more than a lap.
So many what-ifs in this racing game. You know, I mean, it's, you stand here, what if all day, you know? What if this race goes 100 laps without a caution? Can Junior stay in the car? It's happened here in New Hampshire before, where we went the longest time at the beginning of a race with no yellow flag. Dave?
And Al, that's what I wanted to talk about earlier. They think he can go based on how he was feeling and how his wounds are healing, that he could do a full fuel run, which, as you mentioned, is between 85 and 95 laps.
They're hoping that it doesn't come to that, as you see Martin Truex Jr. still suited up and waiting to get in relief of Dale Jr. But if it does, he's got to make the call. And just go back for a second and also just establish why Earnhardt Jr. doesn't want to run the full race today. He probably feels he's physically capable of it today, but he would pay for it tomorrow, the day after, and in ensuing weeks.
Yeah, there's no question. And the thing about burns you got to be careful is the infection. If you get an infection in a burn, then instead of a 2-week or 3-week process, you're talking about a 2 or 3 month process for those, burns to heal. So you don't want to push it.
And that's why when Dale Earnhardt Jr. spoke here on Friday, he said, I probably could, I feel like I could, but I don't want to take a chance on getting an infection and then really having a problem going on through the summer.
Yeah, I talked to him Friday morning about it. I said, man, just let these things heal, trust me, because if it gets infected or it gets worse, you're really going to be sorry.
As they've gotten through some of the traffic, Ryan Newman's advantage on Michael Waltrip has stabilized at about 0.8 of a second. So everything just the same up front. It's Newman, Waltrip, McMurray, Kahne, and Stewart, the top 5 through the field when we come back to New Hampshire. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Back back at the New Hampshire International Speedway on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon in July. 300 laps for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. desperately wants out of that car to make the driver change with Martin Truex Jr. Almost got his wish. Watch the 17 car of Matt Kenseth. Makes the save. The race continues under green. Out front of the race, Ryan Newman started on the pole. Let's take you through the field. We can start up front with our visa through the field with Ryan Newman. Just an outstanding run. Clearly the car to beat if you talk to anybody in the garage, including his team. The crew chief, Matt Borland, told Ryan that he has 2 cars between him and the 15. Just take it easy right now. Marty.
Michael Waltrip is in the 15 car. In second position, Bill Slugger-Labby just told me we're killing him from the center off. Michael wanted to know if people were running lower into the turns. They said the higher line's a little bit better, Dave.
Jamie McMurray generally happy with his race car, just a little bit tight. Radio to his crew chief, if anything, just take a little bit of wedge out. Next pit stop. Matt?
Casey Kane chasing his first career win, runs in the 4th position. Earlier in the race, he said the car was extremely tight on entry. It has slowly come back to him. Now he tells Tom Baldwin Jr. the car's not tight anymore. That was on lap 46. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart trying for his 4th career back-to-back victory. He said the car was loose earlier, but he felt like that was because of the tire rubber left by the modified race last night. Now he says where it was loose, it's starting to tighten up, Marty.
Matt, those 600 miles Jeremy Mayfield ran in the tester, well, they must have helped. Yesterday in happy hour, the car was not good at all. Today, pretty good. Little loose in, little tight off, but pretty happy, Dave.
Rusty Wallace's car is maintained, Marty, just a little bit tight from the center off, but he started in the 8th position, and Marty, back to you.
Jimmy Johnson hanging in there in the 8th position, Dave. His car was extremely loose off the corners, as we reported earlier. It's getting a little bit better now, it appears. Ron Malik, the car chief, told me the car's not that bad right now.
Well, Bill, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car having a good day moving forward. Jeff says the car is loose getting into the turns right now, but they started that car on very soft springs, spring rubber on each side to try and make it very adjustable. Upstairs, Alan.
And that would be back to Jeff Gordon. We want to come out and through the field for a second to show you Ryan Newman about to put a lap on Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And Jr. is racing as hard as he can right now to stay in front of that 12 car. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it.
I don't think so, BP. 12 cars on a rail right now. Going to try to make the pass on the outside. Not quite.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you stick the nose in there on the outside off the corner. Huh? You might get it white.
Yeah, you have to be at the door, you know, if you're going to make that pass. Got to have your nose at their door.
Ryan Newman has led every lap so far. Dale Earnhardt Jr. running in 30th place after starting 43rd. Hoping for a caution flag to stay on the lead lap and make the driver change. How about the leader, Bill?
And one thing, Ryan just said he's picked up a little vibration. They think it might be the right rear tire, so watch for that.
Well, he's not giving up any ground.
It's gotten a little bit worse, but it's maintaining right now. 10-4.
Vibration in the right rear. Does that mean it puncture, or could it be?
My guess is that he ran a high line someplace, picked up a little bit of rubber up there, and it stayed on there, stuck to the tire, and threw it out of balance would be a guess.
He wants to pass him. He doesn't want to hit him.
That's a difficult thing at this racetrack. Very, very narrow. It's hard to make a pass. Dave.
And Wally Jr. is fighting. His spotter even told him he's there, and Jr. still through the block.
Oh, you see the back end of Jr.'s car hop off the corner there?
He's been doing that a lot, especially off of turn 2.
And in the traffic, Michael Waltrip has closed up on Ryan Newman, and Jamie McMurray has closed up on Waltrip.
And that 9 car is not very far behind McMurray.
And Junior is watching that mirror like a hawk.
Oh, yes.
He wants to know where that 12 car is. He does not want to give him an opening.
More on the 12, Bill?
Getting a little worse. Matt Borland just told Ryan Newman in that 12 car, we're ready for you if you need to come in at any time. Our window doesn't open for 20 laps.
Ryan tried to use that very flat bottom lane on the racetrack, the inside of Junior. In turn 3, he got a nose on him here.
He's there.
There he is. And there he goes.
Okay, so Junior goes a lap down. As long as he can stay the first car 1 lap down, that'll help.
That'll help. And in this position here, if the caution flag comes out, he has an entire lap. If he had been right in front of the 12th car, he'd been the last car of 40 cars in front of him. So I don't know if he could have made that driver change. In this situation here, he might be able to do it.
And so some of the other cars in that top 5 that got bottled up behind Ryan Newman. Well, he tried to pass Junior, now trying to make their way through the lap traffic also. We're 57 laps complete, working lap 58. We'll get back to another through the field in a moment, but first we need to take a break. Ryan Newman, the only leader so far here at New Hampshire International Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Back in New Hampshire, the caution has just come out. Ricky Craven, who is running an 11th spot, has gotten into the wall off of turn 2.
Pretty hard there, BP.
Oh, he sure has. That right front tire isn't moving, isn't rolling, so it's usually a sign.
So the lucky dog will be.
First, we give up the lucky dog, don't we?
Yes, sir, Junior. You are a lucky dog
stay out
today.
there till we figure out what's going on. We'll be fine. Just kind of get caught up here and let's see what happens.
And what they're referring to, if you're new to NASCAR.
Wow, center off. It like spins right up off. That way, it's got, I don't know, it just don't, it's loose in, it won't turn in the middle, it won't roll through the center. If it rolls through the center, don't turn off. Not enough gear.
When NASCAR ended the practice of racing back to the caution, they put in a rule to allow the first car not on the lead lap at a caution flag to get back around the pace car and basically make up the lap. So Junior is in that position.
If you put it on the left, on that flat part, getting in and coming off, it gets loose off. If you put it on the flat, put the left foot down there, it gets loose out against the wall, but it pushes all the way through the center, all the way off.
Hey guys, don't worry about it. That's we're gonna come in, Dale Jr. Don't come in first time by. Wait second time by. We're gonna get you out, then we're gonna come in and do our tires. Clark.
Cannot cast it after that.
Fine, Clark, get Dale Jr. out. Y'all have the can. Bill, you're doing it. Where's Craig? Craig, your catch can. Just do the normal deal we've been doing all week.
All right. Remember, they said you got to take tires your first time in. You can't take them after that. Or that's fuel, sorry.
Well, they've got a lot of officials down there at that 8 pit, don't they, make sure they do everything right?
Here come the lead lap cars onto pit road for their service.
Calm down, it's work good.
Junior stays on the track as he has to as a lap down car, and the leaders are in. Ryan Newman to the attention of his crew all the way down at turn 1. Marty?
Michael Waltrip just a little bit tight. It was 4 tires, pound down the right front, wedge out of the left rear. Quick stop for the 15 guys. Matt?
A chassis adjustment and air pressure adjustment for Casey Kane. The balance of the car gone way to the loose side. He's down and away. Bill.
They're taking off that right rear tire. Ryan complained about a chassis adjustment, track bar, and wedge adjustment. A little bit tight. He's on his way.
Looks like Tony Stewart picked up a couple of spots. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has just been waved around the pace car, so he'll now come back onto the lead lap, then come around and make his pit stop.
Okay, now he'll probably try to get those belts loose.
Where's that pace car at?
Get everything unplugged.
Go ahead and catch up, Junior.
Before he stops.
Safety truck up there, watch him.
Get all you can there, Dale Jr., because I got to have all that time.
So you see him right there? He's loosening the belts up. Okay, now that helps when the next guy gets in. Those belts, if they're tight when the next guy gets in, it's really hard to get them buckled. Now we'll probably unlatch it before he gets stopped as well. Need to unplug everything, get everything you can attached to you so you can get out quick. Don't forget, he's sore, so he's not going to be getting out too fast.
He might need to make another lap because, all right, here he comes.
If he makes another lap, then they can't add fuel to the car, so he's got to come in here, Benny.
Come on, you're 10 away here, DJ, right in front of the 41. Come
Come on in here. Come on, right here.
All right, Dave, go ahead.
Here they go. The three guys going in the car. On the other side, Jay Guarneri hopped in through the window. B. Hoover will jump in and help Martin Truex jump in, but Big Jeff Clark is now helping Junior out of the car. He's the gas man, helps Junior get out. Gas man for the team. Bill Snyder will fuel the car. You heard him discussing the understanding of the lucky dog rule. They must fuel now because they can't come in later and do it. Now Truex is in the car. They will try to buckle him in. Again, the team helping him, and Martin trying to do what he can, but Guarneri on the other side doing most of the buckling. Window net and belts have to be tightened, or the NASCAR officials look at him looking in the car, making sure that he is safe to re-enter the Speedway. They say that he is. They don't stand before him, and he leaves. They beat the pace car out.
Man, the crowd is loving all this drama on pit road with a driver change.
So, now, if he got everything attached, he'll stay out. But if he needs to come in, he's got some time. Make sure everything is connected, especially the radio.
I'm sure he'll come back in. Yeah. He'll come back in to take their tires. Dave?
That's right. They can put tires back on, but they can't refuel. That was not to give too much of an advantage to the lucky dog.
So Dale Jr. getting a breath as Martin Truex Jr. is now back into the number 8 car.
And you see, he doesn't have gloves on because it's so much easier to put the belts on. He'll put the gloves on before he starts back there.
BP, those gloves are in the car. They're stuffed underneath the front seat for Martin. As soon as he has the belts tightened, he will put them on.
All right.
And he didn't even have the belts tight yet. I mean, he had them connected, but there you go. He's straightening the wheel out.
Chaos.
I mean, that's tough when you're trying to do all that stuff and not
Don't feed.
get a lap down.
Don't feed. You're good.
Now he'll tighten those belts up once he gets, caught up.
And again, because he was at the end of the pack, they had so much less time to work with. You see, they just barely beat the pace car out again.
Go, so get on around there.
The crowd reaction when they hoisted Junior out of that car was huge.
That is awesome.
Doesn't matter what racetrack you go to, he is popular. So now it falls on the shoulders of 24-year-old Martin Truex Jr. to get what kind of a finish he can out of the day for the Budweiser team, and what kind of points he can score for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the championship. If you're new to NASCAR, the driver that starts the race earns all the championship points on the day, regardless of whether he gets a relief driver or not. So wherever Truex Jr. finishes this race, those will be the points that Earnhardt Jr. gets credit for on the day.
Get ready. Green flag.
Ryan Newman is the leader off the pit stops, followed by Michael Waltrip. Tony Stewart up to 3rd. Jamie McMurray and Casey Kane back to 4th and 5th. Then Kevin Harvick, Jeremy Mayfield, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson.
Ooh, little contact between Michael Waltrip in the 15 car and Jeff Green in the 43. But he cleared him. That was real important. Don't want to be hung out on the outside of slower traffic here. The guys in front of you will just leave.
Now this is a touchy time for the leaders because a lot of cars would put a lap down. We got 30th place on back to 42nd out there, not on the lead lap, and they were all lined up to the inside, and these lead lap cars trying to work their way around them on a very slippery racetrack. This one's for position. Rusty Wallace in the 2, working on Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Actually, Rusty lost a spot in the last lap.
And we see McMurray is going by the 20 car of Tony Stewart.
So McMurray up to 3rd spot. Now let's go back through all the hurrah and show you why the caution came out.
Oh. I wonder what happened to the 38 car of Elliott Sadler, and I see now. The 32, Ricky Craven, got loose off the 2nd corner. We had to back up off the gas. Elliott got in the back of it. Marty?
Well, Ricky, this is not what we hoped for. What happened?
Yeah, Jimmy and I got together. That part of it was okay, but the 38 stuck me in the right rear.
All right, obviously very emotional. This is his hometown race. Elliott Sadler says they have a lot of left front damage as well. They tried to knock it out on the pit stop, did the best they could with it in the limited time they had.
So Craven in the garage behind the wall getting repairs made to his car. Ernie Sadler's car has also been pushed back to the garage by his crew.
Wow, that's a big block there from Jeremy Mayfield on the 19 on Jimmy Johnson.
How about that Jeff Gordon, huh? What an impressive run. Robbie got very loose off the second corner. I thought the 19 was going to get in the back of him as Jeff Gordon tries to get up alongside Casey Kane.
And he's going to block him in. If he can stay there, he's going to block him in.
That's going to be for 6th place.
Yep.
Jeff Gordon started 24th.
Now, who's going to win this race up front? Jeff Green in the 43 or the 29 of Kevin Harvick?
43 of Jeff Green, second car 1 lap down in 31st place.
And you lose so much time when on your stopwatch when you have to race like that.
So Martin Truex Jr. is in the 8 car, running last on the lead lap in 29th place. Had a little moment a couple of laps ago as he has tried to get acclimated to how that machine is driving.
Trying to get alongside the 49 car of Kenny Schrader, and comes off the corner. Some contact between the two, and wow, that's almost as good a job as Matt Kenseth did in the 17 earlier in the race.
Dave, all clear right there, all clear.
Wow. Could hear the tires squealing, even over the race engine. Dave?
That's been part of what Junior's been doing down here. Got himself seated in front of a television now, watching Martin Truex Jr. drive the 8 around the track. He had a brief conversation with Tony Eury Jr. about the car. He was also receiving lots of congratulations, gentle pats on the back from his teammates. And also Dr. Scott McNair, team physician for Hendrick Motorsports, came by just to see if he could offer any assistance to Junior. None was given.
Okay, so Truex Jr. out there again working on Dave Blaney, this would be, for 28th place. Blaney in the 30.
Got to be patient here, Benny.
Yes.
I mean, you know, you're in a good race car. You know, you just got to be patient. You don't have to try to impress anybody. He gets around this place good. He qualified great.
And we got 225 laps to go. I mean, this race is not going to be over in the next 15 minutes.
I want to give you our singular race talk poll. The risk-reward factor, it's been debated all week since Dale Jr.'s accident in a non-NASCAR race last Sunday out in California. Want to know what you think. Should Cup drivers take part in outside races? Many as they want. Same side Busch Series races or none at all. If you were the team owner, what would you do?
A lot of difference if I was the team owner and the driver.
Exactly.
Ryan Newman is out in front. He has led every one of the 75 laps that have been completed so far today here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Michael Waltrip continues to chase from second. Still under green here at New Hampshire International Speedway, the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series in race 19 of 36 in 2004. Ryan Newman has led every lap so far. Michael Waltrip in second behind him for much of the day. Our Miller Lite NASCAR Nextel Cup race fact, since Ryan Newman looks like he's in position to lead a lot today, he might not be interested to know that the leader of the most laps has failed to win 5 of the last 6 New Hampshire races. Trust me, we'll see some strategy played on subsequent pit stops. And while we're under green and everything's pretty well settled in line, we stayed during the last caution to cover the whole driver change thing, so that's kind of gotten us a little bit behind on doing some business. So we're going to take another break here now and kind of get ourselves back on the lead lap. How's that? You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
Sunny afternoon in Loudon, New Hampshire. More than 91,000 fans made their way to the New Hampshire International Speedway. They brought their coolers. Some brought them in wagons. They locked them up all outside the gates and then went to their seats and ready for a long afternoon of racing. And right now, they're seeing Ryan Newman out front, and that's where he's been since they dropped the green flag. The pole sitter having a good day. Remember, we talked about that right rear vibration. Nothing wrong with the wheel, nothing wrong with the tire. They took off on their last stop. Let's take you through the field. Ryan's up front. Here's the guy running second. Marty.
And Bill, that would be Michael Waltrip, who's having a very solid run. Not a word since the last pit stop. His car was a little bit tight. They made the air pressure adjustment. Mikey, pretty happy right now, Dave.
Jamie McMurray did get that wedge adjustment he suggested, plus an air adjustment and track bar. He said it's still tight in the middle now on lap 85, but it's good off the corner, Matt.
Tony Stewart runs fourth, running similar lap times as leader Ryan Newman. The problem, he is 2.4 seconds back of the leader. He loses too much room at the beginning of the run. The car is way too free coming in. We've got caution for debris.
Piece of metal just came off of one of the cars on the front straightaway down towards the turn 1 side. There it is.
That would have to be Elliott Sadler, you would think. A lot of damage, should be a lot of damage to the front of that car with the contact he made with Ricky Craven. But anyway,
second caution of the race is out at lap number 90. Now everybody was just in at lap 61.
Okay, now the strategy is going to start. Do we stop gas only, 2 tires? What are we going to try to do to get track position?
That's it. We need a number here, because somewhere, say, oh, I don't know, I'd say 15th in line on back, they're not getting 4 tires. Some of the guys up front, they might feel like they have to, Bill.
The 12 wants to stay out, Alan, but they told their spotter if everybody else comes, try and get on pit road, and we'll do lefts only, so we'll see what happens.
I think you got to get in position. All day long, you just need to keep working at track position, but the last pit stop you want to make, you want to do the least amount on that race car as possible.
Yeah, you don't want to be making long adjustments because you're going to lose so many positions on the racetrack. All right. Are they all staying out? Who's going to come?
Jimmy Johnson, 9th place. Bobby. And from Bobby Labonte on back, 15th place on down. Marty?
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's really not been happy with the handling of the race car right now, Alan. It's been very loose. They're going to pull a spring rubber out of the car, trying to tighten it up. Long time on the right side. Usually that chassis adjustment does take a while. They pull the rubber out of the right rear. They also make a track bar adjustment, trying to get that car tightened up for the 2-time New Hampshire winner last year.
And that's exactly what Wally and I were just talking about, was making that long adjustment. Bill?
Bobby Labonte on pit road in that 18 car, Benny said it was pushing like a dump truck. So they talked about changes, gave him 4 tires, fuel. He goes back out, but lost a lot of track positions. Jeff Burton follows him off of pit road.
That's okay. Now's the time to make those changes. This is the perfect time to make those changes, because you want to get that car dialed in. Like I said, do not want to do anything that last pit stop to the race.
Front runners stay out, 15th on back, make pit stops. The restart when we come back to New Hampshire.
Under caution here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Still making pace laps here. Up on the pit box now with Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has climbed out of the number 8. First of all, how do you feel?
Ain't many people I'd let drive my car. Martin's one of them, and luckily he was available this weekend. The car is not that good. I think the car might be worse than I am. It's real loose in and real tight through the middle. Wouldn't turn in the middle at all, and hopefully we can work on it and get it a lot better and get a pretty good finish. We was real good all weekend in practice with Martin in the car, and I know we can get a good run. We just got to get the car a lot better. I was doing okay. You know, the car just wasn't as good as I thought it'd be or it had been all weekend, and just ain't no fun getting out, I'm gonna tell you that. But because I like running here, we run okay here, but Martin's gonna do a good job for me, so it'll be okay.
How do your injuries feel, and how they feel over the course of that run, Junior?
My injuries just really hurt bad, but it's hard. It's like it's a pain I ain't never felt before. But I was in a burn center or 2 burn centers, and I seen some people in there a lot worse off than I was, and made me really appreciate how lucky I was to be able to get out of there with just the little burns I got on my legs. But just ain't good enough to drive a car here all day long, and hopefully next weekend we will be.
You heard the confidence in his voice about Martin Truex Jr. They will probably take him away from here, as the team told me earlier, change the dressings on his bandages to avoid the infection, make sure that he gets plenty of rest, and possibly be in the race next week at Pocono.
And just joining us today for Dale Earnhardt Jr. here in New Hampshire. Driver introductions earlier with the bandaged Burns, and then the effort to get into the cramped quarters of the Budweiser Chevy.
Very tender, as you can see. It's hard to bend when you have Burns.
Earnhardt Jr. starting the race, of course, so he accumulates the championship points. He was overtaken by leader Ryan Newman and put a lap down. Then trouble. This happened at lap 60. Ricky Craven tangling with Jimmy Johnson and Elliott Sadler, allowing the Budweiser team the chance to get Earnhardt Jr. out of the car and put Martin Truex Jr. in.
And Truex quickly gets in the car, gets the belt, and did not lose the lap.
So Earnhardt Jr.'s out, Truex Jr.'s in, Ryan Newman leads, and the cleanup continues here.
Saturday, in the shadows of New York City, Robbie Knievel, a true American daredevil, jumps the former USS Intrepid. Saturday at 8 on TNT. And don't miss the TNT original movie Evel Knievel right after the jump on TNT.
Coming up next weekend, got a lot of NASCAR action, plus the Robbie Knievel jump on TNT. You see, we're still under caution here at New Hampshire. We'll explain why in a moment. First, here's Dave.
It's not because of us. It's not because of me, Alan, for once, you know. Yeah. But we'll take a minute here and talk with Robbie Knievel in person. You know, I look at what you're going to do next week on the ship of the USS Intrepid, and I think pretty amazing, pretty crazy. Are you pumped up?
I'm so revved up today, standing here watching these guys come in the pits. It's unbelievable. And what an honor to shake all their hands before they got in their cars and stuff. And the jump is going to be for all the troops, the World War I and II vets, the Vietnam vets, everybody that died for our country, the police, the fire department, the fallen families from 9/11. And thank you, troops, and thanks, President Bush, for keeping our freedom, man.
I want to go back a little bit to the Grand Canyon jump. I got to get on you a little bit about the landing there, okay? We're going to improve a little bit on the landing there on the Intrepid, do you think?
You're going to get on me about it?
On your case a little bit, man.
I had enough with the kid. You know, everybody said, why didn't you plow them rocks out? Well, they were part of the edge, you know, and I just lost my braking. I forgot everything on the other side because I couldn't see it. As soon as the wind dropped, I told my crew chief I'm going to try and break my record, and I did. And I was like, oh, crap, the camera stand. So right. I'm just gonna build a high ski ramp on the Intrepid. I only have 850 feet to clear the planes, 5 or 6 fighter planes, and you know, get some recognition of the greatest museum, air museum in the whole country. You know, because I think there's a lot of people that don't know about it.
Well, and as we've taken him around the garage this weekend, guys, I think Robbie's gotten a lot more tips on speed from this NASCAR world, guys.
Talking about the USS Intrepid, got a member of our TNT and NBC broadcast crew who served on the Intrepid. There's Chuck Mills.
All right, hi Chuck.
Chuck was there.
And he's going back next Saturday and see the ship again. Yes.
Oh, good.
Outstanding.
Great.
Chuck's busy right now, though. He's capturing pictures of race cars.
Has been doing this ever since I've been doing racing. Chuck Mills has been there running the camera.
All right, we're getting ready for a restart. The reason we were under caution for so long, they have numbers along the catch fence here at the racetrack. They're kind of like markers at a road course, 4, 3, 2, 1. They help the drivers with their braking points into the corners. One of those signs came off. That's what was laying on the racetrack, so they took the rest of them down.
Yeah, and if you're going to the, and some guys do that, some guys just go by feel, but if you're going to the 4 and the 4 blows down, and now you're going to the 3 thinking it's a 4, you are in for a big surprise when you get to that corner.
Oops,
because you've gone a little bit deeper.
The signs are fixed, and the green flag is back out here in New Hampshire. Will anybody miss their braking point here?
All right, the first 15 cars did not pit. Matt Kenseth, the first car to make a pit stop, is back in the 16th position.
In all seriousness, we're laughing about it, but could that mess someone's race up? Losing those signs in the front stretch?
There are people, Alan, that will look at those and live by them. And there's, trouble for Dave Blaney.
Ignition quit, both of them.
Well, that's not good.
Not a good spot either.
We stay under green to the moment.
Try to get to the edge of that pit lane and turn in. Now. Avoid a yellow?
Well, not necessarily, because where he stops, if the car doesn't get, see, he's going to stop out there so the caution does come out, which I think is smart on his part. And caution comes out. Otherwise, he's going to be stuck out there, and they can't fix his race car. This would be yellow flag number 3, just past the 1/3 point of the race. We'll see if anybody pits when we come back. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Loudon on TNT is brought to you by Ford, the official truck of NASCAR. By Goodyear Assurance, featuring triple tread technology. And by Domino's Pizza. Get the door. It's Domino's.
A lap away from the restart here in New Hampshire gives us a second to tell you about the McDonald's Drive-Thru Pit Crew Championship, fueled by Powerade. The recognition going to the pit crews whose teams spend the least amount of time on pit road each week. Elliott Sadler's crew picking up 20 grand for the Chicagoland race 2 weeks ago. Their 3rd such win in the last 4 races among eligible teams. And you look at the season-long standings for the $200,000 top prize. Only a few cars pitted under this caution, among them the championship leader Jimmie Johnson, who will now drop back to 25th place, Marty.
Yeah, Alan, when he came to pit road, he was in 23rd. It was fuel only for Jimmie Johnson, and why not? They only lost 2 positions. Chad Canal said, you know what? It may put us out of sequence with everyone else, and later, that may help.
Yep, the contrarian strategy. Do what the other people don't.
Green flag, green flag.
Scott Wimmer's the one to the inside of leader Ryan Newman, trying to get a lap back. Wimmer in the 22. It's Newman, Michael Waltrip, Jamie McMurray, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon, the top 5. Man, what a drive for Jeff Gordon. Let's start at 24th. He's 5th. And he picked up just about all of that on the racetrack. Only a couple of those spots came with the pit strategy shuffle here in these last couple of cautions.
I say they were pretty happy this morning. They thought they fixed their problem. Obviously, they had.
Oops, someone down on the apron over there in turn 4. Who is that? Ted Christopher in Kirk Shelmerding's car. He's okay. By the way, Ricky Craven back on track. Hermie Sadler back on track. All 43 runners are in the race at this point. Jeff Gordon in the hunt for what would be his 5th win of 2004. Tony Stewart working the lap traffic. He's got Gordon working him.
I thought that Jeff Gordon was going to pass the 20 car. The last time through 3 and 4 was not able to get by because of lap traffic. This time, Tony gets by the 22. Jeff will go by and try to get in front of Tony Stewart. Bill, how about Jeff Gordon?
Good on new tires, Ben. He actually said he's having fun out there, and this is the kind of racing Jeff Gordon likes. But it's just a little too loose right now. Crew Chief Robbie Loomis says we're going to try and tighten him up when he comes back in. But that 24 car, definitely a threat again here at Loudon.
Yep. He slides around the lap car of Scott Wimmer.
And there's such a fine line here at this racetrack. You're either a little too, I mean, there's the balance being perfect does not happen at this racetrack. You're going to be one way or the other. So it's what you can live with and what works best and go fast. But you're either going to be too tight or too loose. There's never a happy medium here.
Jeff Gordon 3rd in the championship standings, 242 points behind leader Jimmie Johnson. Under last year's championship system, that'd be a pretty big deficit at this point in the season. But Jeff says under this year's system, works for him.
Right now, I'm happy with the point system because I'm behind. If the points were structured the way they used to be, you know, I'd be in trouble, and Jimmie Johnson would be sitting in a really good place right now, and Dale Jr. But you know, I think that right now it's unfortunate for the guys that are the top 2 or 3, especially the top 2, and it's fortunate for the guys that are 3rd on back to 10th.
Fortunate for him because if he's still a couple of 100 points behind at the end of the Richmond race, September the 11th, he's basically going to get all that wiped away and start with a fresh slate for those final 10 races in the chase for the Nextel Cup. And that's allowed these teams to do a few different things. The teams that are comfortably in the top 10, like Gordon and Earnhardt Jr. and Johnson. Gordon's team altering their test schedule, even altering their approach to what they put under the race car to come here on Friday for practice.
And so many of the teams are doing exactly that. The Robbie Ryder team, Matt Kenseth's team. Last week at Indy, a lot of teams went up there to test for the Brickyard 400, one of the biggest races of the second half of the season. They chose not to test, to save that test for the final 10 races of the year as they try to win their first NASCAR Nextel Cup championship.
On the other side of the coin, Jimmy Fennig, Kurt Busch's crew chief in that 97. They are back in 9th in the championship standings and only 38 points ahead of 10th. Jimmy told me they are racing like they're trying to protect a point lead. They have to be very conservative.
They're racing to that race. I mean, that's what they have to stay in that top 10. So they're going to throw everything they have right now at it.
And you see the race to the chase, even though Kurt was 9th starting the day, as Ryan Newman leads, that was the guy behind him. As they run now, Kurt will be shown 10th in the championship.
And just 85 points in front of Jeremy Mayfield.
Right, one slip up.
Yeah, I was
not there anymore.
I was down with Jimmy when one of his Roush Racing teammate crew chiefs came over, and they were talking about gear selections. And Jimmy said, I can't take a chance on falling out of this race. I've got to put a conservative gear in and make sure we last.
Turning the engine less RPM so that it doesn't take as much opportunity to blow something up, to break something because of excessive RPMs.
How about this drive by Kurt, by the way? He started 32nd, BP. He's up to 8th.
Oh, he has a very good race car. In their happy hour session last night, had one of the fastest times.
By the way, report on Dave Blaney, a dead battery. They would be changing that on the AOL car. Our singular wireless race talk poll, we asked your question if you would allow Cup drivers to take part in outside races, and you overwhelmingly agreed with the drivers who say yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
They obviously voted as a fan, not as a team owner on that deal.
Well, a team owner would be 70, well, it'd be 100%.
Right.
Just Nextel Cup races.
Most of the drivers' attitudes on the risk-reward issue all week long, as it's been discussed, center on this. Life's a risk. I am a race driver. That's what I do. It's what I enjoy. I'm going to go do it.
Tony Uri Sr. had the best line when he talked about should Junior stayed home during the weekend off. He said if his father had been here, the most dangerous time we had around the shop was a weekend off because he had us out on the farm running machine we knew nothing about.
Dale Jarrett had a good run earlier on, but he's slipping back a little bit now. Matt Yoakum, what's up?
Dale Jarrett, 12th in points, entering New Hampshire, only 90 markers out of the top 10. Caught a huge break on that caution. Felt he had a tire going down. Caution came out at the right time. He did indeed have a right rear going down. Qualified 25th, made his way all the way up to 11th. So now he's having to start all over again, restarting 26th.
Wow. And, of course, Dale 12th in the championship starting today, trying to make that push to get into the top 10 in points. While we're talking about all this other stuff, Ryan Newman continues to lead laps. He's led all 117 circuits so far through the field when we come back.
New Hampshire International Speedway, good crowd on hand, a sunny day, and Ryan Newman continues to lead over Michael Waltrip. Let's try this again. Let's get you through the field without a caution flag coming out. Latest word from Ryan Newman, car's a little tight in the center of the turns, but it's been as close to perfect as you can get here at New Hampshire on lap 122, about maybe 30 laps from fuel. Marty.
However, the latest word from Michael Waltrip was nothing. He's still happy with the race car. They've been a little bit tight all day long. Now remember, most of these front guys have not pitted recently, so they have to come down pit road here in about 25 laps, Dave.
Jamie McMurray's chassis is handling okay, a little tight in the middle. The problem is, he says, I've gotten down to the corner about 5 times without brakes. Brake trouble on the 42, Matt.
Tony Stewart still running in the 4th position. Just like earlier in the race, his car is terrible on the get-go. Loses too much track position before it finally starts to come back to him, Bill.
Jeff Gordon's car just a little bit free. Want to tighten him up just a little bit. Remember the Jack Bolt backed out 2 weeks ago, gave him all that trouble at Chicago. They're running a second bracket on that bolt today to make sure that doesn't happen. Marty.
Bill, the 29 car is back in 6th position. Kevin Harvick, for the first time all day today, is loose. They don't know what to do with that. It's the same car he finished 2nd here with last year, Dave.
Kurt Busch has gotten his car turned around from tight to loose. They're loosening just a little bit each time to keep up with the track. Marty, back to you.
Jeremy Mayfield's lap time's kind of falling off a little bit here, Dave, in the 8th position. Car's starting to get tighter the longer he runs. What he does want on this pit stop, he wants a tearaway pulled from the windshield. Matt?
The other Dodge boy, Casey Kane, runs in the 9th position. He has tried a lot of different things as far as changing his line and getting off the gas early. His car just still way too free, Dave.
Rusty Wallace says his car started to come around. It was a little bit tight off the corner. They made a track bar and air pressure adjustment, and he's happy with it now.
Ryan Newman, the race leader, has led all 125 circuits that have been completed. About to complete the 126th lap. And as Bill told you a minute ago, is about 30 laps away from needing some fuel. Get guys on different pit schedules here. Let's continue going through the field. The 11th place runners, Mark Martin, Bill.
Alan, I talked to Mark an hour before the race. He goes, I don't know how long your camera lenses are, but they're not going to be long enough to find me today. He was wrong. Up to 11. Dave.
Matt Kenseth's car started out loose. It stayed loose. It's still a little bit loose, but you know what? That's okay for Matt right now. They made no changes to the chassis on the last stop. Bill?
Good run for Terry Labonte. 800th start of his NASCAR Nextel Cup career. Made a chassis adjustment with chassis and air pressure last time. As for Bobby Labonte, we told you it was pushing like a dump truck. Well, it's gotten a lot better. Bobby Labonte trying to move forward thanks to the adjustments made by the crew, Matt.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. trying to chase down Bobby Labonte Jr. running in the 15th position. In the James Finch car, the car a little tight, but okay. He's very pleased with the way it's going. He scored his first Busch win here, hoping to score top 10 in this car. Meanwhile, the 16 of Greg Biffle. It seems like he's been 16th all weekend in practice and qualifying. The car, though, tight off, loose on entry, Bill.
For Jeff Burton in the 99 car last time, 4 tires and fuel, a half pound of air out of the right front. The car was tight. Update from Jeff, real tight. Matty.
On the first pit stop for Scott Riggs, the car was loose in the center and up off the corners. On the second stop, they tried doing 2 tires to help tighten that race car up, Marty.
Matty, don't ever count the 48 bunch out. He restarted this run 25th. He's already up to the 19th position, having a terrific time out on the racetrack right now. The car just a little bit loose for Jimmy, and trust me, that's a lot better than what he said earlier in the race. Elliott Sadler is in the 20th position. The car banged up. It's an in-house Yates chassis, but you see that damage on the left front fender. His car is tight. Behind him, Joe Nemechek in the 21st position. Joe's loose right now. It's the first time his car has been loose all day. They've been fighting a tight condition for most of the afternoon. Matt?
Dale Jarrett trying to bounce back from the bad luck, which was good luck when he got the caution for that flat tire. Now making his way from 26th up to 22nd. No changes on his previous scheduled stop, Dave.
We heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. talk earlier about how the car was not very good. Martin Truex has been driving it for the last number of laps. He reports it's really, really tight. He's hanging in there. Matt?
The word all weekend for Sterling Marlin, even after they scheduled a test here, burned the test, tight. The car's been tight all weekend, tight all day. They've tried everything. Nothing's worked, Dave.
Jimmy Spencer's been working on a tight race car. It's gotten a little bit better. It was very tight in the center of the corner. They made a wedge adjustment on lap 91 to correct that. The 49 of Ken Schrader has been on and off pit road 2 times. Only slight adjustments to him the first time. It was very neutral on the second stop, and they made no changes to the chassis on lap 91. Marty?
Dave Brian Vickers back in 27th. They just can't find the happy medium. The car starts extremely loose and winds up extremely tight at the end of the run. Same car he finished 3rd with at Richmond. Weber.
Jeff Green battling the car today. Made a couple of stops. Haven't been able to help it much. Still looking for his first top 10 run of the season. Matty.
Rookie Brendan Gaughan qualified 29th, runs 29th. They've been fighting a loose in, tight off condition all day. Just trying to work on his 8th top 20 finish. That's the goal for today.
The 0 of Ward Burton, last car on the lead lap stop, went on lap 103 for a 4 tire change, put a rubber in the right rear, made a track bar adjustment, took some tape off the grill, and reported in. It's still tight. Alan?
And that, ladies and gentlemen, would be the entire top 30 on the lead lap through the field.
Good job, guys.
And the problem is here, you know, you're going to have a tight race car, but if you loosen the car up too much, you're loose in. And you don't want to be loose in here, so it is a very fine line on how to try to adjust that car so it's not pushing really bad in the center without making it loose in.
Race for second place behind Ryan Newman. Jamie McMurray starting to put some pressure on Michael Waltrip. McMurray in the 42, Waltrip in the 15. Waltrip's been second behind Ryan Newman for a long time. Opening laps, he got that number 2 spot. How about the 42, Dave?
Well, now, we talked before about when a guy says he has no brakes. And, Wally, I thought that might be a good time to clarify this again. Actually, we'll be going to Marty next. But basically, he has to pump the brakes before he gets to the corner. Doesn't have the confidence he would normally have in the brakes. But Jamie has found the brakes each time he's entered the corner so far. Marty?
Why, Dave? That's rather odd. Same problem for Michael Waltrip. He describes the brakes as spongy. They're keeping an eye on it. You know, he kind of has to pump them before he goes in the corner. But, Wally, I would think if you had to pump the brakes here in New Hampshire, that's not a comfortable feeling, is it?
No, it's not, Marty. And the problem is, if you're pumping them now, they're not going to get any better. They're hot. So you really need to, you know, get some air on those brakes. And another thing is, I think if you can run a lower gear, if you have more RPMs getting into the corner, you use less brake. I'd be interested to see if these guys went to a little bit taller gear just to play it safe today, because if you run a shorter gear, you use less brake. You can let the car roll in, let the engine slow you down.
The 15 did not go to a higher gear. They ran about the same gear everyone else was running.
Okay.
Will we see green flag pit stops for these leaders? Will they get a caution they need before they have to come in? We'll find out when NASCAR on TNT returns to New England.
Got into his left rear.
Back in New Hampshire International Speedway, caution has just come out. Martin Truex Jr. is into the wall in turn 1.
That's not what they were hoping for today.
Excuse me, left rear.
He was falling back, had some contact with Jimmy Johnson a couple of laps ago. And you can see he's got some damage and some flat tires on the left side of that car.
No, he drove right in the left rear.
It sounds like he hit someone else in the left rear, and he's trying to avoid hitting them and spun himself out. Let's see. I think we have a replay. There we go.
Or he got hit in the left rear, I think is more like it.
Yeah, that would be correct.
Ken Schrader.
Let's see if we can get a better angle here of what happened. They're just going for the same real estate. That's all there is to it. I mean, you know, you're wanting to be in the center of the corner there. Schrader's down low. His car's going to slide up a little bit, but the A car's going to want to get down to the center.
Exactly. They want to go. They both fight for the same exact spot. And once again, as long as we have racing, we're going to have wrecks exactly like that. On board with Kenny Schrader.
And it doesn't take much. No. I mean, you're already on the edge when you're in the corner, so it doesn't take much to get the car turned around when you make contact.
On board with Truex, and listen.
See, that wasn't much contact.
That was pretty good contact there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the caution came out before these guys who skipped pitting on the last couple of times had to come in under green. So here they come now under the yellow flag. Newman, Waltrip, McMurray all in. Marty?
And I tell you, Alan, they were about 8 laps from having to pit under green. Michael Waltrip said the brakes are starting to become a problem. They're going to pull a 3-inch strip of tape where the brakes will get more air. They're going to make a chassis adjustment for that. He's a little tight, Dave.
Maybe McMurray's car tight as well. They will go down in the air on the left sides. Wedge adjustment in the right rear, which they've already made. Matt?
Tony Stewart said the rear tires were chattering early in the run, and air pressure adjustment down in both rear tires. Bill?
Car is just a little bit tight. The 12 of Ryan Newman. Air pressure adjustment on the left and the right front. Put tape on the front. He's on his way out of pit road.
Oh, DJ almost won the race off pit road.
I want to go back and check and see if he got 4 tires, BP, because
I
don't think so.
I don't think so.
Everybody else I could see did, and Jeff Gordon up to 3rd. Here it is.
Ryan Newman. Then comes DJ.
You know, that was interesting, taking tape off the brake ducts, because a lot of the guys out there did not put tape on the brake ducts at all.
Marty, what do you got?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, the jack broke on Michael Waltrip's stop. They lost a lot of time here on pit road on the left side when they went around. They went to pump it up, and the jack fell back down, so they had to lose a lot of time. And also, they made a chassis adjustment for pulling that piece of tape off, Wally.
Let's see where he relines, and we'll check on what Dale Jarrett's team did on the pit stop after this. NASCAR on TNT with the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series at New Hampshire International Speedway, getting set to go back under green with Ryan Newman, the race leader. What Dale Jarrett do in his pit stop, Bill?
2 tires for Dale Jarrett. He took 2 tires on that stop for track position, guys.
Okay. Now Michael Waltrip falling from 2nd to 16th on his pit stop. We talked about them having an issue with the jack, and it cost them a lot of ground. And then Marty was reporting on them not wanting to take tape off the brake ducts, Wally.
Right, because that's going to take downforce away from him. So he countered with that move. I don't know the adjustment they made, but Marty was right. You have to counter with that move. If you're going to take tape off the front, you're going to make the car push.
And we're back underway.
Kurt Busch comes out in 4th position in the 97 car.
Take her across the top of the screen, tell you how they are as we get back underway. See Jeff Gordon moving up on his pit stops, as well as Kurt Busch. And
A good stop for Mark Martin as well, up to 6th. Jamie McMurray losing a little ground, back to 7th place.
And Wally, you keep talking about the inside line and getting by those. Ryan Newman was able to get by the 22 car. Now he has the rest of the field bunched up behind him as they try to get by him. Ryan Newman is just simply driving away. It's a huge advantage if you get by that guy on the inside.
Absolutely. The restarts are so important to be up front so you can clear that traffic that's a lap or more down.
And Kurt Busch goes into the 2nd position.
When Casey Mears in the 41 tried to follow Kurt through that hole to the inside of Dale Jarrett. You see him have to jack up on the brakes because he started to slide. And they were going to have an 8-tired wreck there.
Jeff Gordon trying to get on the inside of the 41 car. Here's Tony Stewart trying to go by the 24. And look at Ryan Newman. I'm sorry, Kurt Busch trying to get by the 22 car so he can see if he can catch Ryan Newman.
Great drive today for Kurt Busch. Started 32nd. He's up to 2nd. And we're not quite to halfway in this race.
And you're not going to have much patience right here when you're in Kurt Busch's position. You see the leader. He's in clean air. You want to get by a guy that's a lap down. So you really don't want to mess with somebody too long. You're hoping that Wimmer will give you some room so you can get by and go race him. And Jeff Gordon, I mean, he had to race the 41 pretty hard to get by him.
And Wimmer is racing Casey Mears to try and stay the first car not on the lead lap and be in position if a caution comes out to get the lucky dog pass and come around the pace car and get back on the lead lap.
But I guarantee you, Busch is screaming on his radio right now trying to get a spotter to go over and talk to Wimmer. Give me a break.
I'll come back to that in a second. First, let's check out how the Gillette Young Guns are running today. First micro power shaving system from Gillette. New M3 power, the new power behind the Gillette Young Guns. It's a pretty good day for that crowd. 18th or better. And of course, Jimmy Johnson is back there through a little strategy they played with an extra pit stop. We'll see how that works out later on.
All right, Kurt Busch, 97, gets clear of the 22. Can he do anything with Newman? That lap, he was a little bit faster than Ryan Newman. Not much, but a little bit.
And I just want to come back and devil's advocate the thing about the spotter going to Scott Wimmer's team. Wimmer can't afford to let anybody get by him because if he gives too much ground, the 41 of Casey Mears is coming up behind him to race him for that spot.
But you know what? When you're even if you're lap down, if you're racing a guy, he's going to catch you faster than if you just check up and get back behind him and run. You're going to be faster that way. If you've got Kurt Busch under there trying to move you out of the way, run you up high, you're going to run slower laps. So, you know, I think he did the right thing. He let him go. He got back in line, and he didn't lose a whole lot.
Here's Casey Mears in the 41, 31st place, second car, 1 lap down. Michael Waltrip, yeah.
I mean, up in 3 and 4, I saw him very slow up there. I don't know exactly what happened, but he and Jeff Burton might have gotten together. I saw both of them. Ever see Michael in the 99 car? Yeah, they did.
99 looked like he was just trying to save it. Looked like he got loose getting in. Let's watch him go down here in turn 3. I think Jeff was just trying to save it.
What the heck was he doing? Inside, big of him here.
Right here, looking back from Jeff Burton's car, Michael tries to get on the inside, and ooh, hello, Jeff. Marty, what's going on?
Well, let's just say Michael's not very happy with his good buddy Jeff Burton. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And probably pretty fair to say Jeff Burton's probably not happy with Michael Waltrip too.
Exactly.
So, you know, the emotions of racing. This is going on back for 19th and 20th positions. Jeff Burton in 19th and Michael Waltrip in 20th.
I tell you what, you get back in this traffic, and it is so difficult to get through. It's hard to pass, and you stop getting that full complement of air across your car. You pick up that arrow push, and it just becomes so difficult to pass.
Yeah, so much easier when you're out front, and you don't have guys that you're having to deal with right now. And even though your car's faster than some of these cars, like we talked about earlier, you're fighting for the same exact real estate. So you're going to have to put your car in different spots and try to make it work.
Jeff Burton, 4-time winner here in New Hampshire. Michael Waltrip running second for most of this race. And here is the race for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Jamie McMurray.
Matt, what's going on with DJ?
Well, BP, we documented earlier that DJ had to pit on lap 103 for that flat tire. Well, good fortunes continue because the last stop, he only took on right side tires, slight track bar adjustment to try to free the race car up. But because of that stop back on lap 103, he didn't have to take 4, went from 19th to 2nd. Now he's settling in right in 3rd.
Dale Jarrett 12th in the championship standings entering the day. 90 points out of 10th, trying to get into that chase for the Nextel Cup. Ryan Newman has led every lap so far today here in New Hampshire.
Just a gorgeous day here in New Hampshire. New England sun shining down on the New Hampshire International Speedway, and more than 91,000 fans here to watch the Nextel Cup Series on this 1-mile track. Up front, Ryan Newman continues to lead. Started on the pole. He's been out front all day. He's been in our through the fields this afternoon, but now we want to take you inside the field. We'll look at some of the teams that work just as hard as the leaders, but still can't quite crack the top 20. That's like maybe Ken Schrader. His best finish this year, 6th at Bristol. He's gone 425 starts since his last win at Dover in June of 1991. This season, this team got sponsorship at the last second from Schwann's, and they have continued to work hard at improving their finishes. In their thoughts today, rear tire changer Ryan Shea probably out for the season after a wicked motorcycle wreck. As for Schrader at age 49, he's not slowing down. This season, 5 race wins, 2 in the Grand National West Series, 1 in ARCA, 1 super modified, and 1 late model. Schrader is like repeats of Law and Order, entertaining and always running somewhere. Matt?
Kasey Kahne just inside the top 10, running 10th. The first 7 races this year, he finished 2nd 3 times and a 3rd, but the next 11, only 1 top 5 finish, a 2nd at Michigan. Back in 2002, when Tommy Baldwin was trying to make some good things happen with Ward Burton, they went to a little tiny short track in Thompson, Connecticut. They tested, and they came up to New Hampshire and won the race. On Wednesday, Tommy took Kasey Kahne to Don Hodek's Thompson short track, ran over 160 laps. They hit upon something, trying to use that today to break through and get Kasey his first win. Marty?
Matty, he may be in 39th and 6 laps down, but there's no man happier to be here than Teddy Christopher. On Saturday afternoon, he was in the modified race here at New Hampshire. 25 starts for Christopher in the modified race. He had never won. He finally won. It is the Daytona 500 of modified races. The man who finished 2nd behind him, his brother Mike, who pushed him to the win because drafting is a big factor for the modifieds here at New Hampshire. Teddy said that was the highlight of his career. Dave?
Marty, Ward Burton runs 29th and still on the lead lap, but has been fighting a tight race car all day. Sounds kind of like his season where he's only had 2 top 10 finishes. So how do they turn it around? Well, a guy who's been with this organization for just over a year, Bill Engel, is now the new crew chief. Bill has a good history in NASCAR, running with Alan Kawicki, Michael Waltrip, and in winning with Ricky Rudd. In fact, with Rudd, 50% of the runs they had were a top 10. That's a stat he carries with him and hopes he can add to the 0 team. Alan?
Ward Burton, out there still trying to hang on to that lead lap while Ryan Newman is trying to hang on to the lead. About the most serious challenge he's had for a while as Kurt Busch has gotten up to his back bumper.
Yeah, he got up to his back bumper really close a couple of times, but the 12-car Ryan Newman was able to just drive away from him on the straightaways. But right here, the car looks really good through the center.
I tell you what, Kurt Busch is able to run lower on the racetrack than Ryan Newman, and that's one reason that he is catching him, and one reason he may be able to get by because he's running in a different location. Bill, what about the 12 car? Is he having some problems?
No, he's doing fine. In fact, one reason the 97 might want to get by is desire. 5 bonus points. Ryan, kick it up a notch. That 97 wants the bonus points. It's all up to you.
It looks like he may get those bonus points.
Remember that if you lead a lap, you collect 5 extra points toward the championship. Dave?
You know, a lot of people in life get a second chance, but guys, do you think a car deserves a second chance?
I don't know. I think so.
I think so. Jimmy Fennig, the crew chief on the 97, he thinks so. This car ran very well at Richmond earlier this year. In fact, led 6 laps, but then a fan belt failed on the car. Put them down and finishing in 31st position. But they decided to bring it out here. And this morning I talked with Jimmy Fennig, and he said, you know, this car, we're pretty stout.
Yeah, they are pretty stout right now because that 97 car is going to give Ryan Newman a fit.
So a number on Ryan Newman for you guys. He has led 170 laps today. The most laps he had ever led in a NASCAR Nextel Cup single race, 162 at Dover, June 2003. So a new personal best for Ryan Newman today, to use a track and field term.
Hey, well, when that 12 car gets straight, though, he does drive away.
Got a little giddy up to it?
It's got some giddy up. Right here, looks like Kurt Busch is a little bit better. Oh, he's going to get there now. Look, right here. Well, he's going to give it to him.
All right.
There you go.
Kurt Busch to the lead.
So for the first time all day, someone leads the Siemens 300 other than Ryan Newman. It is Kurt Busch who's moved up from his 32nd starting spot, though we still have 129 laps to go. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. New Hampshire International Speedway, seen lots of action so far this afternoon. Dale Earnhardt Jr. changing out for Martin Truex Jr. Ricky Craven with some troubles, as well as Truex Jr. And most recently, ouch, the caution flag is waved because Todd Bodine stalled into turn number 1. The yellow has just come out, and we are under the 5th caution of the day. Our NASCAR Busch Series update. Matt Kenseth won a wild race here yesterday. 10 caution flags. Kenseth leading the last quarter of the race, holding off Tim Fedewa for the finish. Truex Jr. opening up a big gap in the championship after Kyle Busch was penalized for rough driving. Busch Series at Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs next Saturday. Pit road's open. Who's coming? Very few. Craftsman Truck Series, no race this weekend. Tight championship. They race at Michigan International Speedway next Saturday. Our Craftsman Truck update. All right, Marty.
Jeremy Mayfield hits pit road, running 7th, way too tight. A pound out of both fronts. 1 round in the right rear wedge, 1 round out on the left rear wedge, and a bag of ice for Jeremy. Bill.
On this set of tires, Mark Martin wasn't very happy at the beginning of the run, but it's gotten better. They're coming in to get fuel only. No tires. Mark's on his way.
And DJ, service complete already on the 88 car. That set of tires that made the car go to the loose side.
Had a couple of guys get just fuel only on that stop. We'll follow up on them when we come back. Several of the front runners did not pit, though, including Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman. They hold the top 2 spots. We'll be back.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Loudon on TNT is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Let's make it real. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by new Castrol GTX Startup Motor Oil.
And we come back to New Hampshire as the green flag waves. Kurt Busch is the race leader, did not stop under the caution flag. He's got Ryan Newman, Jamie McMurray, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon behind him. Others who did not stop, Matt Kenseth, Casey Kahne. Oh, got a car in the wall in turn 4. Caution's out. Brian Vickers.
See some damage to the right side of the 25 car. It doesn't look that bad, but the caution flag is out.
That last shot of it, BP, looked like the car was crabbing a little bit. Back end wasn't chasing the front end very squarely.
Looked like a dog going down the road, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't look good there.
It might just be that they've got those fenders crushed in, yeah.
The body's definitely twisted.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's see what we can detect. He was about a half a lap behind the field, so.
A bunch of smoke. Marty, what did Brian say?
They asked him what happened. He said, I could not tell you. This thing is just out of control, Peter. Talking to his crew chief, Peter Suspenzo.
I got you. I've been in those cars before. Yeah. I've seen that movie, starred in it a few times.
Okay, so pit road is open here as they come by. We'll see if we have any takers on this particular caution. We're starting to give you the list of those who didn't stop on the last one. And Zed coming in. That should be a lap car, and it is of Casey Mears. Shouldn't see any of the front runners in here. Take advantage of the caution to take a break. Come back for more green flag racing in a minute. Just back under the green flag at New Hampshire with Kurt Busch, the race leader. Ryan Newman second, Jamie McMurray third, Tony Stewart fourth, Jeff Gordon fifth, then Matt Kenseth, Casey Kahne, Rusty Wallace, and Jeff Green. Those are the guys that did not pit in this sequence of caution flag stops. Then you get to Mark Martin, who took fuel only in 10th, Michael Waltrip with right side tires in 12th, and Jimmy Johnson with 4 tires back in 19th.
Yeah, it's all playing out, of course, like we talked about earlier. When you get to your last pit stop, you want to just put fuel in. And hopefully everybody else will have to make changes, change tires, make chassis adjustments, whatever. That's when and where you're going to get your track position. You want to get it on the last pit stop. Matt.
Wally, that's exactly what Mike Ford, Dale Jarrett's crew chief, is thinking. They pitted under the last caution, took out 4 tires, no adjustments. So that way, later in the race, on their final stop, they can take 2 tires and get a boatload of track position.
Now, I agree with that, but Martin pitted and just put fuel in the car, and I don't understand.
I don't understand that. Well, they didn't want to lose track position. They wanted to stay where they were. They felt that put them in the best position. So you have 2 different kinds of strategy there, and you'll see what plays out. And that's why we go 300 laps.
But if you're going to lose, I just think if you're going to lose track position, now's the time to do it, not at the end of the race. I think the 88 car will be up front when it comes down to the end of this thing if they gambled right, which is hopefully just come in for fuel.
Are we having dinner together, Wally?
Yeah, I know, Bill.
Okay, so then that's the tab.
Okay.
However, he's quick to try and get somebody on the hook
always
for that,
wanted
isn't he?
somebody to buy his meals. I'll tell you what.
Jeff Green off the pace. That's too bad. He was 9th a lap ago. And he's coming to pit road.
Does he have a tire down? Right front looks like it's low. Yep.
It is the right front. You guys are right.
All right.
Again.
Thanks. No, again?
Again. That's twice. One race.
Let's fight for position here. Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin. That's for 10th spot. And Elliott Sadler behind them is also in the mix for that spot.
Seems like he's losing a little track position there.
Pressure tires coming past him? Maybe. Is that what you were saying? Okay. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, to
cue the duck.
Our Aflac NASCAR Nextel Cup trivia question. Jimmy Johnson trying to win 3 straight races here at New Hampshire, prompting this. Who was the last driver to win 3 straight Nextel Cup races at the same track? Now, this is a real test for Benny and Wally because I gave them the answer to this question on Friday during our TNT Bud Pole qualifying show. Let's see how well they remember. And they're both sitting here with blank looks on their face.
Someplace? No.
48 car?
No. That's who's trying to do it here.
Oh. Kurt Busch?
Yeah,
he's
that would
leading.
be it.
We always got to look at the leaderboard. What's wrong with us?
There's a pattern here. Come
I know.
on, work with me.
Well, that's right.
We're a little slow here.
We should know that because they have the Sharpie 500, and he always wins the
There you
Sharpie
go.
500. Yeah.
Kurt Busch trying to make it 3 straight. Has won 3 straight at Bristol Motor Speedway. He'll try to make it 4 straight next month. Kurt Busch leading Ryan Newman by 1.5 seconds, Bill. Busch is getting away from the guy who dominated much of this race.
Yeah, he chased him, then passed him. Now he's pulling away from him. Ryan Newman does not like the pressure adjustments they made on this set of tires. It started off tighter. It stayed tighter, especially in the middle of the turn. So they're going to change the pressures back to what they were before, and hopefully that will improve the car. Ryan said, are their times any faster? Matt Borland said, no, we're actually a little bit slower.
So Newman trying to keep up with Kurt Busch, not succeeding right now. 25-year-old Kurt Busch from Las Vegas, Nevada, began racing at age 14. He's got 8 career NASCAR Nextel Cup Series wins, one of them this year. He's looking for number 2 today. A sellout crowd of 91,000, as always, here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Today's Siemens 300 being led by Kurt Busch. We check our Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers and see that they're making out fairly well on this afternoon in New England.
Not too bad. 1st, 4th, 9th, 10th, and 14th on that page.
And even back to 17th.
All the drivers in the top 17 except Kyle Petty car back in 33rd.
Kurt Busch took over the top spot from Ryan Newman at lap 171 after Ryan led the opening 170 laps of this race. Kurt up by now 2.6 seconds on Newman. You see he continues to motor away from the 2nd place runner. Jamie McMurray is 3rd, Tony Stewart is 4th, and Jeff Gordon rounds out your top 5. Obviously, Tony Stewart, the subject of much discussion after the incident with Casey Kane in the Chicagoland race a couple of weeks ago. Coach Joe Gibbs, the owner of this car that Tony Stewart drives, knows all about dealing with elite athletes. We talked with the coach, and he says from his perspective, as a coach or a race team owner, there's no simple solution to when difficulties arise with an elite athlete.
I think it's an ongoing process. Life's not easy. You know, many times what I found in dealing with athletes and dealing with teams, you know, for instance, do you say at some point in there, let's just say up to this point, we said, that's it, we're done, Tony Stewart's out of here. I mean, that to me, I bet you get 90% of the people in sports saying, are you a nutcase or what? What'd you do? You just, you know, the guy didn't do anything.
A nutcase? Yeah, and I don't think there's anybody who would disagree with that statement, that nobody wants Tony Stewart out of here. But Tony does have to go about getting his reputation among his peers back in the garage area. How does he do that?
Well, you know, it's hard to do. I mean, that's one thing. Believe me, Tony Stewart cares what the fans say or think about him, but not nearly as much as what those guys in the garage think about him and how they feel about him. And it takes a long time to gain the respect and the trust from your competitors. And it takes a long time to get that back if you lose it.
And the unfortunate thing about it, you can lose it in just one race.
Right.
But it's going to take him months to get all those guys.
And it's not everybody.
On his
I
side.
mean, there's a few guys in there. Let's not, you know, I don't want to blow this out of proportion. I don't even think it's probably 15% of the garage area. But you don't want, you know, you want everybody's respect, not just certain guys' respect.
Because he has been involved in some things that have been controversial, and because of his reactions and actions in the past, though, when he's involved in anything, intentional, not intentional, his fault or not,
it gets magnified.
The focus factor is going to go up in a big, hurry.
There's no doubt about that. As Casey Kane goes by Jeff Gordon and sets off after Tony Stewart.
And that is going to be for 5th place. So Casey up into the number 5 spot. So it's not a big job for Tony, but it's just, as he told us earlier on, it's something that they have to be mindful of, but he can't change the way he races either.
He's right on the line right now. He doesn't want to make it any worse. And he's had some things happen from, you know, in the past, but now he just needs to be careful.
So Matt Kenseth with a little bobble off turn 4 there in the 17 car. These guys all last pitted at lap number 142, and we're at 204 now. So they've got 60 laps on these tires, these front runners, and then some of the guys like Dale Jarrett with fresher tires trying to make their way up through the traffic. There's Dale. He's back in 9th place. Marty?
Having a fine run, and his pit crew has had a lot to do with that, Alan. And in the chase for the Nextel Cup, pit crews will be paramount, and who could possibly win this thing? And Ford and Robert Yates Racing have come up with a great idea. 13 people who are on the supplemental pit crew for Robert Yates Racing, and they are the subject of today's Built Ford Tough moment. These guys are volunteers. They don't get paid anything. They show up 3 times a week for 2-hour sessions. They practice, they work out, all for the hopes that someday they can be on a Nextel Cup pit crew, and that's what they want to do. BP, you interested?
I don't think so. I don't want to make...
You can jack the car.
I like that truck.
It only takes 3 days a week. Yeah, you can win a truck if you log on to FordRacing.com/chase.
I don't want to be on the taxi squad for Robert Yates now.
The practice squad.
The practice
That's
squad.
That's a good analogy. But gotta find a way to train these guys and get them from someplace.
Oh, yes.
It's a good idea. Michael Waltrip coming up behind Dale Jarrett. Remember, Michael trying to overcome a pit stop issue a little earlier. And he's back up into the top 10 in 10th position. And our leader, Kurt Busch, continues pulling away from the field. 3.4 seconds is his advantage over Ryan Newman. Back to New Hampshire in a minute. Back in New Hampshire, the caution has just come out. Ricky Rudd has hit the safer barrier in turn 3, and he's hit it a bunch.
He hit it a ton. And he looked like he was very, very upset. I don't know if it was himself or someone else, but he threw the steering wheel off. Okay, let me get this belt out of here. I want out of this car.
Yeah, whenever you wreck, you're mad.
Oh, yeah.
There's levels of being mad. Obviously, it's even worse when somebody helps you wreck.
Around the bottom of the racetrack at 20 mile an hour off the pace.
Yeah, let's take a look. There's the 72 that we're talking about.
Gets in the back of him. I think he was talking about the 25 car of Vickers.
Look at the back end of this car leap off the ground. Wow, man. On board, Mark Martin.
Yeah, Ricky had to check up for Brian Vickers, and Mark got in the back of Ricky Rudd. Oh, he did go in there hard.
Here in front of you, right here in front of you. Go, go, go.
All right, here we go.
All the leaders coming down pit road for stops with the 89 laps to go, Marty.
Alan Michael Walter was rallied to 10th. He said, we were too loose on 2 tires. I need 4. He said, I have absolutely no brakes out there. Dave?
Leader Kurt Busch really doesn't want to change the car. Just a quarter pound of air out of the right front tire, left front tire from what they had before. Matt.
Tony Stewart's car gone to the tight side. 2 rounds in a wedge. Stop complete. Bill.
Ryan Newman too tight. Air pressure adjustment, track bar adjustment, major wedge adjustment. Looks like he'll win the race off pit road. Marty.
Jimmy Johnson took 2 tires, Bill, setting up what Wally talked about. They took the 4 earlier. This is their gamble. They can make it to the end on fuel. Now they have a little more track position.
It's going to put him up to about 10th place from 21st, Marty.
Ryan Newman goes from 2nd to 1st. Kurt Busch tried his best, could not quite beat him. Matt Kenseth, great stop for those guys, and that's
Tony Stewart.
Tony just barely beating Jeff Gordon.
So Kurt Busch hangs on to the, just checking, recounting my Jimmy Johnson number. It looks like he's going to come up to 10th place. So Kurt Busch is not able to hang on to the lead, my bad. Ryan Newman is out in front.
One of those guys.
I'll get this straight.
That's Jimmy Spencer in the red car. How's that? Matt Borland, as they try to figure out how they're going to win. That's the crew chief for Ryan Newman. They're trying to figure out their best way. How can they beat?
They're trying to figure out the gas mileage right now, aren't they?
Exactly.
Back in a minute.
Back here at New Hampshire on Thursday of this past week, Ryan Newman, his crew chief Matt Borland, and team engineer Mike Nelson were inducted into the Society of Mechanical Engineers Hall of Fame. How about that? And here on pit road, the rest of the guys did pretty good too. Let's meet the 12 pit crew.
Matt Borland, crew chief, Hazlet, Michigan.
Ray Ocean, front tire carrier, Salisbury, North Carolina.
Dennis Terry, front tire changer, Mooresboro, North Carolina.
Britt Goodrich, Jackman, Gastonia, North Carolina.
Trent Cherry, rear tire carrier, Saginaw, Michigan.
Joe Piette, rear tire changer, Wausau, Wisconsin.
George Whitley, gas man, Chocowinity, North Carolina.
Steve Berner, catch can, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
And a cheer of support from Ryan Newman after they said, how about that pit crew, Ryan Borland asked him. Ryan gave a big cheer and a thank you. He leads the race. Marty?
Bill, big impact for Ricky Rudd on the racetrack. What happened?
Well, we came up on some lap cars, really slow cars. I think Vickers had trouble, and there was another car on the inside that were limping around, and I came up on them, and they got side by side. About the time I caught them, and I jumped on the brakes to keep them running into them. I guess Mark was behind me, lead lap car. We gonna let Mark go, but I guess we caught everybody so quick, and I threw on brakes. Mark drove right in the back of me. It wasn't intentional on his part, and hope he didn't get his car tore up too badly. But like I said, it was just timing. Just caught bad time, and hate it. It's over. It's the tore up car.
All right, see you in Pocono.
Ricky Rudd out, Morgan Shepherd, Todd Bodine, Carl Long, Hermie Sadler, all with cars in the garage as well at this point in the race. Getting set to go back at it with 83 laps to go. The restart will come. Ryan Newman led the first 170 laps of the race. Kurt Busch bypassed him at 171. Now Newman's crew has given him the top spot back.
Boy, look at Kurt Busch trying his best to get by that 43 car, and he does it and goes for the lead off turn 2. Oh, couldn't quite make it.
Matt Kenseth up to 3rd. 4th is Tony Stewart. Jeff Gordon is 5th.
Gonna take another run here, BP. Taking a look.
No, not that time. Like when he jumped in the gas, the front end kind of slid on a little bit.
Pressures are down. These cars are real squirrely. Yeah, Newman bobbled a little bit. So we talk about tires are very, very soft right now.
Tell you what, that 97 car is running a few feet lower on the racetrack than Ryan Newman.
I'll tell you what we're primed for here.
What's that?
We're primed to have a whole pile of cautions right in a row because we're inside the last 100 laps of the race. Everybody's got fuel to go to the finish. Everybody's charging for all their finishing positions now, and there's a lot of banging going on in the pack. Here's 4th place. Jeff Gordon trying to get it from Tony Stewart. Bill?
They raised the track bar, made an air pressure adjustment, gave Gordon 4 tires and fuel on that last stop, trying to improve the handle a little bit, but he is 2 laps short of making it to the finish with fuel under green.
And, and you know, this is a time where you really need to be aggressive on the restarts, because some of these cars take a little bit while to get the tire pressures up to get handling. So if your car can be just a little bit better at the start on these restarts, now's when you want to make a pass like that.
And all of a sudden, Tony Stewart has lost 2 positions. Evidently, whatever they've changed on this car is not agreeing with the 20 car.
Jamie McMurray in the 42, pushing Tony back to 6th.
But it may come in later for him, but that's the problem. You get past.
How about McMurray, Dave?
On that pit stop, his car was still just a little bit tight, so they made just a minor air pressure adjustment to help Jamie. Matt?
Trouble turn 4, Ken Schrader. And the caution flag is out with 79 laps to go.
So Jeff Gordon, I don't think is going to have to worry about his fuel anymore, because
this just bought him his 2 laps.
Bought him his 2 laps.
A little smoky in there, Kenny.
He said it just flat blew up with absolutely no warning.
Need a push.
Yeah, push this thing because it's not running. So Joey Arrington and the boys up in Martinsville, Virginia will go to work tomorrow trying to figure out what happened. Engine builders for the 49 car.
I don't suspect we'll see any pit stops here. Pit road is still closed. We'll see what happens when we come back. We're under yellow for the 8th time here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Another NASCAR triple-header weekend next weekend here on TNT. Friday, Bud Pole qualifying from Pocono, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Next Saturday, NASCAR National Raceway in Colorado, presented by Midas, 3:30 Eastern. And then next Sunday, it's NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Pocono, starting with Discover Card Countdown to Green at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
Right. You want to know what it sounds like to blow up an engine? Or have an engine blow?
Oh, okay.
All right, let's see. Here we fly on board.
And BP, that's exactly what it sounds like, because I've clutched I've blown up my fair share of engines.
Bill.
Okay, you guys work on Wally up there. I'll work on Matt Borland. You've made your car a little bit better. He struggled for a while on that last set.
Yeah, we weren't as good at that run. We got a little too tight, but we freed him up some, and I think he's a little loose right now, but it might come to us.
Your car's been good since you got here, Matt.
Yeah, it's been pretty good, though. I'll Dodge's been great today, and the guys in the pit crew has just done an awesome job, and the guys putting this car together just did a great job.
Can you make it on fuel?
We'll see.
I knew he wouldn't tell me, but I had to ask him, Dave.
Jimmy Fennig, you told me this morning the car was stout. You started 32nd, and you run 2nd. Can you beat the field?
Yeah, I mean, we got a good car. We got Kurt Busch, you know, and this Irwin team here is doing a great job in the pits. We're good on long runs, so we need this thing to stay green for a while so we can see if we can get that 12 car.
They've talked about long runs. He also informed his driver they can make it on fuel. Marty?
Well, Jimmy Johnson's hero, Lance Armstrong, may have won the Tour de France today, but Chad Knaus, you guys deserve a gold medal for all the changes you've made to this car. It was not good at the start of the race. Is it any better now?
No, not really. I hate to say that, but it's the truth, you know. Lowe's Monte Carlo, we just missed it. I missed it. You know, I got to apologize to all the Lowe's employee owners and the Hendrick organization because I just totally missed it this weekend. We have not been that good since we got into race trim and have not been able to get on top of it. You know, this is pretty embarrassing for us. We normally don't run this bad, but I'm going to have to take the heat on this one. We just totally missed it.
We've learned a lot for September when we come back here to New Hampshire. Matt?
Tony Stewart trying to add another New Hampshire victory to his racing resume. Now, Zippy, what's Tony saying about the car earlier in the run?
It just doesn't take off on new tires. We seem to be one of the better cars in the long run, but we give up an awful lot in the first 5-6 laps. We went up on some air pressure. That didn't help it as much as we wanted, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully we can bring this Home Depot Chevrolet home in top 5, and maybe even a little bit better. We got a long way to go yet.
He will restart in the 6th position. In fact, he said it's almost like it's on a skateboard early in the run, guys.
And we talked about that earlier, and that's now he's going to have to be a little bit defensive on these restarts.
Still under caution. They're sweeping up some of the debris, etc. on the track. We will take advantage of the extra time to take a break. Still got the sweepers out on track, and we remain under the caution here in the Siemens 300 at New Hampshire International Speedway for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. Putting down some oil dry to soak up the material from Ken Schrader's engine problem. Napa Field summary. The leaders today, Ryan Newman and Kurt Busch primarily. Jimmy Spencer led 3 laps by staying out under a caution flag. See 8 yellows. The cars out of the race include Ricky Rudd, Morgan Shepherd, Todd Bodine, Carl Long, and Herbie Sadler, with Ken Schrader's name to be added to that list momentarily. BP's usually a pretty constructive guy.
Destructive.
Well, okay, that's where I'm going with this next. He was destructive this past week.
Daytona's building a new tunnel, so I thought I'd help him get a start. Try to dig up some asphalt, knock the wall down. I've tried to knock it down before with race cars.
I'm going to have to teach you how to knock a wall down.
Watch this. It didn't even give. It didn't even move. I want to just take me a big chunk of that garage. Where they used to have the drivers meeting. Okay, that's the building. Watch this.
Did good there.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I bet that felt good.
Isn't that fun?
It just fell right apart.
Complete renovation of the infield at Daytona. A new tunnel underneath the turns that will allow the tractor trailers access in and out of the infield, and all the insides, amenities for fans and competitors alike.
I guess Kurt Busch is going to be glued to the back of that Ryan Newman car to restart, and he is.
He's pushing him, trying his best to get by the 31. He does not want to be hung up on the outside.
71 laps to go.
But it didn't work, Liz, so far.
Bobby Gordon, first car 1 lap down in 30th place.
And now it's clear. If Robbie will give him just a little bit, yes, he does.
And Kurt Busch drove the car in the 3rd corner about 2 car lengths deeper than he's driven it all day just to get by the 31 car.
Casey Mears had a little trouble up there in turn 2.
Yeah, he got it going again, though.
Jeff Gordon moves into the
here we go
3rd spot, and here goes Kurt Busch trying to take the lead. Can't do it.
We talked about Tony Stewart is still fighting off Rusty Wallace, but he's looking on the inside now. McMurray shuffled the door
for the lead. Don't know where to watch on this, do you, Walt?
No. Looking out the window, looking at the screen.
Got the race for the lead, got all these shuffles for position. We don't want to look away from these two because it looks like Kurt Busch is going to try and take the lead away from Ryan Newman, but so far he's been able to peak.
Look, there's the nose.
But not finish.
Well, like I said, he's good in, he's good through the center, but when that 12 car gets straight and gets pointed, he's gone.
He's handling well down the straightaway.
He's handling very good on the straightaways. Here we go, 97 takes a look. He's going to try to get on the gas just a little bit, try to get up to the door so he can at least hang with them down the straightaway. If he can, now this may be good enough. He's beside him, there it is.
All right, Kurt Busch to the lead. And look, Jeff Gordon.
Whoa,
and Ryan Newman all of a sudden bobbles, and Gordon goes to 2nd.
97 cars in the lead. Oh, trouble.
77.
Brendan Gaughan, turn 2.
Is a caution out? Yes, it is.
Heck of a save.
He's got some damage.
No, you didn't hit a thing. You're good.
But Brendan Gaughan, the right rear corner of the car crinkled up a little. Maybe that's what caused him to spin. So the yellow flag out for, what is this, the 8th time in the race? For Brendan Gaughan, who went for a little loop-de-loop over in turn number 2. Venturing where no man boldly goes. And the vari-colored smoke. That's an interesting sight too, huh? Coming to the restart here at New Hampshire International Speedway. The race to the chase. Things take a little shuffle toward the bottom side of the top 10. We'll look at it here in a moment. Kurt Busch is the leader. That's Martin Truex Jr. to his inside.
Green flag.
In the 8 car in relief of Dale Jr. Not the first car 1 lap down. Remember, he had a little spin out earlier, and he's 2 laps down in 32nd place.
Hey, what, Kurt Busch has just been great today on these restarts.
Well, he really has. And Jeff Gordon caught a tough break when the 8 car of Truex was able to get down in turn 1 alongside of him.
As they run the championship standings, remember that Earnhardt Jr. getting the points that he and Truex Jr. will combine to win today. See Kurt Busch standing to take a big leap as the second half of that top 10 is very crowded. And then below the top 10, it's even more crowded.
Elliott Sadler dropping 3 spots in the current point standings back to 10th. And here we see Tony Stewart trying to get by the 42 car of Jamie McMurray.
And he's gonna do it. And that 50 car actually helped him. Mike Wallace. He kind of got to block him in there a little bit. Looks like Tony's wiggling the car a little bit. They got some debris or something on those tires.
There are the guys chasing what would be now Elliott Sadler for that 10th spot in the race to the chase.
You see Mayfield is 104 points out of the 10th.
And McMurray going to try and come back on Stewart, rather. During the caution flag, Jamie McMurray riding around plotting and planning how he might be able to get to the front with his crew chief Donnie Wingo.
Easily have the third best car, though, don't we?
It just depends on the 97. I think we got the second best car. I think he can beat the 12.
Well, I agree. The longer we run, the better we are with those guys, aren't we?
A 10-4. We just need to get about a 10 or 15 lap run here and get 1 or 2 more and then get a caution and do the same thing. I think we'll be fine. I think we can get them all.
Well, he's losing ground right now.
Boy,
Tony Stewart that just passed him.
He really slipped off turn 2 that time. Dave, what's going on with 42 now?
Hadn't said anything on the radio, BP. His car earlier, well, he hadn't said anything. I didn't expect him to be going back, and they didn't expect cars like Tony Stewart and Rusty Wallace to get around them, as you heard.
Rusty Wallace drove right up on the back of him. You see him right here.
Rusty in 7th place, McMurray in 6th. Rusty having started the day in 8th place, and McMurray took the green flag in 5th. Got something to talk about on fuel, Bill? What's the way
Well, Alan, I don't want to say that my glass is always half empty, but most of these teams believe they have enough fuel to get to the finish, if indeed the finish comes at lap 300. But remember, that's no longer a guarantee.
That's right. Today is this weekend the debut of the potential green-white checker finish in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, where if the race is under caution as it nears the end of the scheduled distance, NASCAR will extend the race, an overtime period for this sport, if you will, for one chance at a green 2-lap shootout to the finish, basically. The green would wave, then the white, then the checker. If the caution comes out anywhere in that period, that's it. Like it, don't like it? What do you think?
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Don't like it as a driver, like it as a fan.
Well, yeah, exactly. And for years, I was against that. But the fans have convinced me that they go through enough that they deserve to see the excitement of these cars running at speed for the checker flag.
It really complicates things for the crew chiefs in situations like this. They have to be aware. I know that's where you're going to chime in on, Bill. They have to be thinking about it.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, Alan, that could come out at 295, lap 295, and they could go 15 laps under caution, right?
Well, NASCAR said they will use the red flag to keep from extending the race unnecessarily much farther than its scheduled distance. So if they're going to need 20 laps to clean up the track, they're going to stop the field, clean up the track, and then go back for the finish.
That'll make the fans happy.
Well, I think it will if they get the shot at the green light.
What do you think Rusty stands on that, Benny?
I don't believe he likes it, Bill. Just guessing, I don't think he likes it.
If you weren't with us earlier on Discover Card Countdown to Green, we heard from a number of drivers their take on the issue. What was it Rusty said? He said, I think all the NASCAR officials held hands and jumped off the bridge together.
That's right.
On this one.
That really was a good line by Rusty.
Rusty fighting with Dale Jarrett for the 7th position now as Jamie McMurray has gotten away from him. Let's check our Harley-Davidson lap leaders on the day. Let's look at Sporty. Ryan Newman.
Yeah, Newman.
Get the Sporty mention there.
Yeah,
okay.
Very nice.
Ryan Newman, well, okay, we'll leave it at that. Ryan Newman dominated the first 170 laps of the race. He led the entire first 170 laps before Kurt Busch got by, set of pit stops. His crew got him back the lead, and he held it until Kurt passed him on this most recent restart, and Kurt has now pulled away. Ryan back to 3rd, with Jeff Gordon between himself and the race leader. There's Kurt in search of his second win of 2004.
And, you know, we listened to the conversation between Jamie McMurray and his crew chief, Donnie Wingo, and we saw him fall back to 6th position. But the last time by, McMurray was the fastest car that lap.
Watching Jeff Gordon there in second. We heard from Jimmy Johnson earlier today on Discover Card Countdown to Green, talking about wanting to bring a trophy home for Hendrick Motorsports today. Papa Joe Hendrick, the father of Rick and John Hendrick, passing away this past week at age 84 after a somewhat lengthy illness, and certainly many in the garage area extending their condolences to the Hendrick family this week.
And, you know, I saw Rick Hendrick. He told us that he was just blown away by the response from the fans about Papa Joe. His, you know, sending in money towards donates bone marrow folks. Is that John or Rick?
That looks like John.
It's like John Hendrick.
Side profile look.
Yeah, they look exactly
Yeah,
like
they
the
do.
side.
I guess it is Rick Hendrick.
Okay.
But he's just blown away by the generosity and the outpouring of affection by the fans for Papa Joe.
Well, then anybody that met Pop loves Pop. I mean, Pop was a great guy.
You drove for him.
You bet I did.
And you too, BP,
I did
right?
too, yes.
And certainly we join the chorus of those with thoughts for the Hendrick family on their loss this week. Very tight family. Jeff Gordon trying to get that trophy for the Hendrick brothers today. He's a 2nd and 6/10 behind Kurt Busch with 50 laps to go in this race. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Loudon on TNT is brought to you by Advanced Auto Parts. For the best parts, people, and price, we're ready in advance. By Mountain Dew, the people who brought you Mountain Dew. And by the new M3 Power from Gillette, the new power behind Gillette's Young Guns.
Getting to the late stages of this one at New Hampshire International Speedway today. Got one going around in turn 3. It's Ricky Craven. And the caution flag is out.
Lots of fluid at the bottom of that car.
Yes, it's going to take quite a while to clean this mess up. Put down the oil dry and get that fluid off the surface.
The New England native, and a lot of his earlier racing days based out of Concord, New Hampshire, the city close by the racetrack here. But he will not have a crowd pleaser today.
Well, this hasn't been a great weekend for him.
No.
Period.
Ricky and team owner Cal Wells announcing earlier in the week that Ricky would not be back in this ride for 2005. So the question is, will anybody come to pit road? Will anybody be looking for some tires? Will anybody be looking for some Sunoco gasoline to be sure they can make it to the finish? I'll bet those guys thought they were done pumping gas today.
Yeah, and they might be.
I think some guys with gamble maybe come in for some tires, but not many of the guys up front are coming down pit road.
So what happened to Ricky Craven that's put us under the caution for a 10th time? Coming at you.
Wow, that thing just blew up. Looked like maybe a radiator hose or something gave way. Of course, going into the corner.
Like they always do. We talked about that last week.
Can't say it enough times. Thank goodness for the safer barriers. Helping reduce the severity of those impacts in the corner.
You see the tires were very shiny with wet fluid.
Safety workers there working with Ricky Craven as the pace car has collected the field. Pit road still closed. And so it's going to be a minute before we see if anybody will come down the pit lane for stops. And here comes Ricky out of the car. That's what we wanted to see.
Very dejected, disgusted driver.
Individual, yes.
Okay, let's see if pit road is open this time, which it will be. See if anybody does come down. What would you do?
No, oh, well, it depends where I'm at. But I mean, if I'm in the top 10, I'm not coming down pit lane.
Anybody in the top 20, I don't think no one is going to pit inside the top 20. Because right now we have 29 cars in the lead lap.
What would Bill Weber do?
Oh, he'd pit.
He'd look for somebody else to buy dinner.
That somebody's probably going to be me.
Notice it's all quiet from that corner.
My mic keeps...
Yeah, thank you. Pit road's open and no business from the leaders. Let's see if any of the back runners come in.
Nope.
Jimmy Johnson looks like he's the first one to debate it. We'll follow up when we come back to New Hampshire.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Series racing from Loudon on TNT is brought to you by Nextel. Coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. By Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly. This is the highlight. And by Aflac. Ask about it at work. 259 laps of 300 on the board here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. Under caution, Kurt Busch is the leader. Jeff Gordon running second. I'm with his crew chief, Robbie Loomis. Can you catch and pass that fast 97?
I tell you what, Kurt's car's been extremely strong, but Jeff's doing a great job in the DuPont Chevrolet. I think we got a good chat in him. On cold tires, our car's really strong. I'd like to say hello to Miss Mary Hendrick at home and the whole Hendrick family. Our thoughts and prayers been with them this week. No Papa Joe's up there watching over us saying, boy, don't mess up. So right now we're leaving him out there. We'll see what we get with DuPont Chevrolet.
It has been an emotional week for Hendrick Motorsports, hasn't it, Robbie?
It really has. When you love someone as much as the Hendricks and as much as they've done for our race team, we'd sure like to be able to get this thing done, but we're going to give it our best shot, see what we get.
All right, good luck. That's Robbie Loomis to Dave.
With Robbie Reiser, crew chief for Matt Kenseth. The board here says 40 laps to pass 3 cars. Enough time and enough speed?
I don't know. We really haven't been fast enough to run, with the front 3 cars. We've just been hanging on. So, I really don't know. We're better in the long run, so maybe we'll have some if this thing goes green to the end. I don't really know. Our teammates running really well, and I don't know if we can catch those guys.
All right, Marty.
Well, Dave, for Michael Waltrip, it's a matter of just staying in the top 10. Slugger Labby, you've fought the brake problem all day long. Is it getting worse, or is it kind of subsided now?
Well, as we go, it's probably going to get worse. Just kind of boil the fluid up, and once that happens, you never get it back. But he's doing a good job. He's pumping the brakes halfway down the straightaway. And, earlier we run the top 1 and 2, and then had a jack brake on pit road and fell back to 28th. You win some, you lose some on pit road, but I guess we'll just go to Napa Auto Parts and get us a real jack and use it next Sunday at Pocono.
It's a good idea. If they can hang on, it'll be their 7th top 10 in the last 9 races. Matt?
Casey Kane runs in 15th. He's slipping and sliding all over the racetrack. Now back on his pit stop at lap 211. He was following Tony Stewart, doing everything he could to not lose any time on pit road during their stop. He was following too close. 2 things happened. When he started to make his entry into his pit stall, the signboard man couldn't get the sign down because he was too close to Stewart coming into the pit stall. His changers couldn't get over the wall in time to service the front of the car. He went from 5th to 17th. He's now made up 2 spots, but that car back in traffic, not doing well.
Driver does have a job to do on those pit stops.
Yep. Got to get that thing in the box to where your guys can work on it, and you don't get too close to that inside pit wall, because if they come around and you're not in the right spot, they can't get the car jacked up, you can't get the tires changed on the left side.
Still working to clean up in turn number 3. A lot of oil dry put down. You saw when Ricky Craven crashed, a lot of the liquid out of his car all the way down the end of the backstretch into the corner. And obviously that was right in the racing line at the end of that backstretch. So they got to really do a job to get it cleaned up before you send these guys sailing off into the corner. Another lap and a half or so of caution before we go back racing. Let's hear from Jamie McMurray's crew chief down on pit road.
That is Donnie Wingo, Alan. And Donnie, he's talking with Jamie right now. Your car was very loose earlier in the race and came around. Is it doing that now?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, on the restarts here, the car's pretty loose. We just can't get going like we need to, and kind of lost a little track position that last time, and it's really killing us right now trying to get back up toward the front.
He complained about the brakes earlier. Are they holding?
Yeah, the brakes have been fine right now. The biggest thing is these restarts right now. On the restarts, we can't go to. The longer run it goes, the better off we are. We just need a good long run here at the end.
All right, we'll see if these some 38 laps left guys are enough for Jamie McMurray.
See what he's doing right here. He's being real aggressive trying to keep those tires clean, because when you run around in the yellow, you pick up all these little, rubber balls and dirt and rocks and stuff, and that really hurts you on the restart. So what you have to do is you really just have to go back and forth as hard as you can to keep those tires not only clean, but some heat in them.
Ricky Craven involved in the accident that brought out the caution. Marty's with him.
Oh, what a terribly frustrating day, and not much of a homecoming, huh, Ricky?
No, it was really looking good early. We just a couple of adjustments away from being a top 5 car, and but we had that issue. We got together with Jimmy, and then got hit in the right rear, turned into the wall, came out. It was about logging laps, and just blew the bottom end out of the engine. I mean, it blew up at the worst possible time going into turn 3. And as frustrating as it is for me, it's still nice to be home, and I appreciate the guys. They worked hard. They deserve better than that.
So Ricky Craven done for the day, and we're back under green.
This time Jeff Gordon didn't let that 97 car, Kurt Busch, get too far away on that restart.
He was not able to get down in turn 1 exactly the way he wanted to because the 8 car was there. But now he was right behind the 97 car. Can he do anything with him?
Yeah, I think he's going to have to do it really quick because the last 3 or 4 laps Kurt Busch ran before that last yellow was very fast.
Front 3 has cleared the lap traffic. Now 4th place Matt Kenseth working to get around and stay in contact with the leaders. 36 laps to go. And just to pay off the story on the 8 car and Martin Truex Jr., remember he got in for Dale Earnhardt Jr. They made the driver change under caution at lap number 59. And ended up getting involved in an incident and spun around, lost a couple of laps. He's back now in 32nd place. It's not going to turn out to be the kind of day points-wise that the team wanted. But under the present championship system, it doesn't hurt them as badly as it might if this were a year ago.
No, that's right, because they only got to qualify in the top 10, and right now they're solidly in the top 10, but they can't stand 2 or 3 more races like this. They might slip back, but right now they're okay.
Some people talk about whether a driver should get a mulligan, an injured driver, whether Dale Earnhardt Jr. or another injured driver should even have to start a race to get points.
Ooh, hang on there. Well,
what do you think?
I don't know what to feel on that. Wow, look at that pack back there. I'm looking out the window again. Sorry, but man, that looked good.
You mean that pack there?
Yeah, that pack right there. Woo!
There's Kyle Petty getting shuffled around the outside of it. So if we had the sound effects package in there, it would have been bump, funk, clunk in that group. What you're saying? Okay.
But should a driver get a mulligan? No, I don't think so. Is it fair for Earnhardt Jr. to get all the points? Yes, I think so. He wasn't injured severely enough to not get in the car to make a few laps. Someone else got in the car and drove for him. I think that's fair enough. But if you're injured severely and you can't be at the racetrack, should you get a mulligan? I don't think so.
Michael Waltrip trying to take 7th place away from Rusty Wallace.
That's a good way to put it, BP. I think you're right. I mean, the way the rules are, that's the way it is, and that's the way everybody's used to be, to do. But the only reason forcing you to drive hurt, and the problem with that is, one of these days, somebody's going to be driving hurt. They're going to try to make it to the first yellow. They're going to get in a wreck, and they're going to get hurt even worse. That's the way I look at it.
This is on board with Michael Waltrip. As he continues to badger Rusty Wallace. Dave?
I stopped off to talk to Rusty's crew chief, Larry Carter. Asked him if he could get around the guys in front of him. He said, we're just not that much better. And now he's got all he can do to keep Michael Waltrip back. Marty?
Trying to pass Rusty Wallace is Michael Waltrip as they head down the front stretch. This is what Michael likes. Now the traffic's kind of strung out. Wally, you can talk about this a little bit because now it's a little easier for him. He can work that brake pedal a little bit more than he can normally when they're in a bunch of traffic. Matt?
Dale Jarrett trying to make some headway against Michael Waltrip, who's right in front of him. But DJ says the car is good, solid, but I just am getting beat up off the corner somehow. I just can't figure it out.
And get back what Marty said, the problem with 15 cars, don't forget the brake problem. And now he's racing the 2, and he's racing a little bit harder than he had been earlier in the race.
Got one on the wall, Greg Biffle. Caution.
Heavy contact with that wall.
He had a problem the lap before where he got up out of the groove, and I don't know if he had a tire going down or his brakes were failing.
I don't know either. I saw him up high, very, very high the last lap. He lost about 10 positions.
I do know he wants out of that car badly.
Okay, here we go. There's what Alan and I were talking about when he's up very, very high in the corner. That looks like no brakes. You're right.
That sure does look like no brakes.
And then a lap later, he came into the same corner, and it got worse.
That looks like too much rear brake. So if he was losing his brakes, losing his front brake, he had too much rear brake. Matt?
Wally, he came on the radio, told his team, I feel like I got into some kind of liquid or oil.
Really? Well, the 72 car just went into the pits with a blown engine about 2 laps before that.
There you have it.
Yeah, but why just the one car having troubles?
Right.
I don't know.
That car sure came around. The back came around.
Well, Biffle has climbed into the ambulance for the trip to the infield care center. Now we have 28 laps to go, and the pit road will be open this time. And
don't even ask.
29 cars on the lead lap. Last time it was 20th place on back, Terry Labonte that pitted.
And Terry Labonte now is 19th, so.
Do we have any takers? So far, the answer is expected, no. To 15th place.
You know, when you're looking for a house, they say the most important thing, location, location, location. To win a race at New Hampshire, most important thing, track position, track position, track position. Or to run 20th, track position.
Prime real estate here is up front.
Up front.
And I think on this deal here, on this restart, somebody like Jeff Gordon, the 24 car, has got to stay right with the 97. If he's going to pass the 97, I think he's got to do it real quick, right after the restart.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. You know, we talk about brakes and Michael Waltrip having some brakes and Greg Biffle. I had a discussion with Ray Evernham this morning about if you start losing the front brakes, they start getting mushy, then you get more rear brake, and that really loosens the car up getting in the corner.
And that's what it looked like, kind of, but I mean, that does happen.
While they clean up Greg Biffle's accident scene over there in turn 3, let's take a look at what's happened to get us to this point in today's Siemens 300. This is Ricky Craven at lap number 59 as he got in trouble racing with Jimmy Johnson from 11th position. That allowed Dale Earnhardt Jr. to get out of his Budweiser car and Martin Truex Jr. to get in. They completed the driver change without losing a lap, allowing Jr. some extra recuperation time from the burns he suffered a week ago. Lap 141, though, things would go kind of sour for the 8 team on the day.
He makes contact with Kenny Schrader and bam, in the outside retaining wall. He will continue, the 8 car.
Lost a lap, was penalized a lap, and continues on in the race. A lot of cautions in this one. We're now up to the 11th caution flag. This is Ricky Rudd with the 7th caution at lap 212. Hard contact after getting nudged from behind in a little traffic jam. Brendan Gaughan, caution number 9.
That's a great job by Brendan Gaughan to spin that car around, do a 360, and continue on.
And caution number 10. A bad day finished for Ricky Craven.
Loses an engine going in the 3rd corner. The oil gets under the wheels, and around he goes in the wall.
And finally, Greg Biffle. What we suspect might have been brake failure, but will be further determined by the race team when they get the wrecked car back in the garage area. And that's how we've gotten where we are. Up front, leader-wise, Ryan Newman led the first 170 laps. Kurt Busch got by him. Newman got the lead back on a set of pit stops at lap 216. And then Kurt Busch got back by him on a lap 233 pit stop. And Busch is out in front under caution with 25 laps to go. Talked about the NASCAR racing on TNT next weekend. Also, as part of your viewing habits for next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we hope you'll check out the new TNT original movie, Evel Knievel, and the Robbie Knievel Jump on Saturday night in New York City. Now, Wally, you're going to be part of the broadcast for that.
Yes, I am. Dave Burns and I are going to be going down there to be a part of that, and I'm looking forward to it. That is going to be so cool to watch.
So Dave is going to discover motorcycle jumping, huh?
Dave is going to discover.
Okay.
So that'll be next Saturday night at 8 p.m. from New York City on TNT. Check it out. How about our leader as we get ready to go, Dave?
You mentioned Jeff Gordon may want to try to get Kurt Busch at the restart. Remember, Busch's car comes in later. He may be most vulnerable right now.
Good restart on Jeff Gordon's part.
24 to go. Can't do anything with him there.
97 car is good, isn't it?
He really is. I tell you, Jeff Gordon anticipated that restart about as well as you possibly can, and still unable to get by Kurt Busch down in turn 1.
Jeff Gordon started today 24th. He's looking for what would be his 4th win here at New Hampshire International Speedway.
Boy, he's close.
Had a car that could have won this race a year ago. He led 133 laps of this race in 2003. Pitted for 4 tires late, got trapped back in traffic, that whole track position thing we were talking about, and never got back toward the front.
Kurt Busch right now is overdriving just a little bit because he's not running that same line that he's been running most days. He's moved the car up the hill a little bit, which tells me he's overdriving just a little bit, trying to look in the mirror.
Exactly.
Keep the 24 behind him.
How about Kurt Busch, Dave?
You know, guys, the only real complaint Kurt has had about his car all day long was about lap 191. He said, guys, it's tied off when we hustle it. And I think that's what you're seeing because he's trying so hard to stay in front of the 24. Bill?
Dave, second place, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car, very quiet on the radio, focused on trying to catch the 97. But I will tell you this, under the last caution, they did ask Jeff to save fuel just in case it goes green, white checkers.
I tell you what, Kurt Busch, we're looking at the same thing. He just ran his fastest lap of the day on lap 278. So maybe we think he's in the wrong line. I think he knows where he is. He's very fast up there.
But I think he's got the space between him and Jeff now. I think he's back calmed down into his groove, into his rhythm.
And if you're Jeff Gordon and you're behind the wheel of that car and you're watching Kurt Busch maybe a little out of control and trying to wrestle his car all over the place, what are you doing if you're Jeff Gordon trying to find a way to close that gap?
Well, you're trying to stay close to him because that's what he wants to do. He's trying to rattle you. And you're like BP said, believe me, Kurt Busch was looking in that mirror as much as he was out that windshield on that restart for a lap or two.
Here's your championship leader, Jimmy Johnson, trying to get a spot away from 10th place, Jeremy Mayfield. And while we watch that, we check with Marty Snyder.
Well, let's find out the answer from Greg Biffle. Wally said it looked like too much rear brake. Somebody was saying oil. What was it?
Yeah, it was oil at 32 foot down. It's still slick in that high groove. And I'm just so stupid. I went through it the lap before. It got loose in that oil. And then 31 kind of held me up high getting in that corner. And I run through it again. And rear, no brakes at all. The rear end just take off. You know, the guy driving a pace car said it's okay. It's just slicker than heck. I told my spotter it's going to be a wreck, but I didn't think it was going to be me. So it's, you know, my fault. You know, for driving too high, get in that corner there. It's way into the groove, the oil still is, but you just got to, everybody's moved down a little getting in the corner, and I just didn't do it.
A little bit of both, Wally, oil and no brakes.
Yeah, well, you have no brakes when you're in oil. There's no question. He's right there.
All right, Jimmy Johnson about to lose another spot to Kasey Kahne. He trying to get by the 19 car, couldn't do it. And here you see the 9 car going by on the outside.
Marty's got an update on Jimmy Johnson for us.
Yeah, and these are the days that our championship teams are made of. This car was terrible at the beginning of the race. Here's all the changes they made. They were loose. They disconnected the rear sway bar. They pulled a rubber out of the right rear. They made wedge, track bar, air pressure adjustments. Jimmy said the car is finally tight. But here they sit in 11th place. They've had an outstanding day, and the brakes also are bad on this car. When they go into the middle of the corner, Jimmy has to physically pull the brake pedal back up with his foot to have a brake pedal to go to the next corner with. They have done an outstanding job. Jimmy doing a great job behind the wheel. And here they are. They could still finish in the top 10. That's amazing.
He's back to 12th now. And they're going to come away from here knowing they have some work to do to come back to New Hampshire for that first race in the chase for the Nextel Cup come September.
Again, they brought a new car here to this race. They did not bring the same car that won both races last year. They brought a different car. Because if they could get this car to work here, then the car that won here last year, they'd take to Richmond. They're trying to get ready for the final 10 races of 2004 to win that NASCAR Nextel Cup.
Little teammates fighting for position here. This would be for 10th spot. Jeremy Mayfield in the 19, Kasey Kahne in the 9. Remember, Matt Yoakum told us the story of Kasey having trouble on his pit stop, and they lost all that ground. Now he's trying to chip his way back toward the front.
Mike Wallace may have something to do with the outcome. Nope. Kasey Kahne made the pass. What are they saying about the 9 car, Matt?
He's just trying to make the best of what's been a bad day. A lot of issues today. You know, we showed you earlier that they were taking the signs down, entering the corners. Well, he needed that number 2 sign because that was one of his markers. Well, being only his 3rd start ever here in New Hampshire, he picked out a different marker and regrouped. And then he had the issue on pit road. Right now, he's just trying to battle back from that very loose race car, slipping and sliding. Remember, he's one of those drivers trying to get in the chase for the Nextel Cup. Ended the day 14th in the standings, Marty.
Well, Matt, his teammate's car, Jeremy Mayfield, is just getting tighter and tighter the longer they run. They just radioed to him, said, "Is everything all right?" He said, "I'm doing all I can out here, guys."
That white 99 car of Jeff Burton, just a couple cars behind there, having a good run. Jeff has just 3 top 10 finishes. Really started driving what he calls better cars at Dover this year. And starting next week, they're going to break out a new car that they've already wind tunneled and think it will be competitive with the cars that he and Mark Martin started driving. Jeff said they weren't very happy with the cars they started the season with, but the same guys that built those cars worked hard to build them better cars. And now Jeff Burton's looking forward to the second half of the season. Marty.
Bill, Elliott Sadler is seventh man in the points chase, 26 points behind Bobby Labonte. They have rallied today. They are close to a top 10 finish, up there near the top 10. You see the left front fender damage. They've had it all day long. That has made Elliott's car extremely tight on the racetrack, but they fought through it and made their way close to the top 10.
Talked to Todd Parrott, the crew chief on this 38 car this morning, and they really want to get a top 10 because they feel like that will get them ready, really ready for 2005. Make Elliott Sadler a much better driver.
The big difference from last year to this for that 38 team. Elliott Sadler failed to finish 9 races last year. This year, 0 DNFs. Kurt Busch is the leader. He led the NASCAR Nextel Cup Championship standings after the 7th race of the season in Texas. In the 11 races since then, only 2 top 10 finishes and 4 finishes worse than 30th. They've had a lot of teens, 11ths to 17ths and 18ths, which has kept them in that race to the chase. But a win today is going to do a lot to boost him up the standings if he can hang on for these final 10 laps. Let's go back and check on that race for 7th spot. Mikey is after Rusty.
He's trying to get alongside, trying to accelerate off the corner. Boy, Michael's got a great run.
That was close.
And DJ right behind them.
Remember, Michael Waltrip ran in 2nd for most of the first half of this race. Then they had a pit stop problem. Jack failed on them, lost his track position, went all the way back to... where? I've got it written down here somewhere. Went back to 16th from 2nd on a lap 140 stop. And Waltrip is up around Wallace now into the number 7 spot.
Let's see if Michael pumps the brakes here, going down the straightaway. Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it. When the brake goes red, that means that the driver is on the brakes. Oh, about got in the wall.
And up ahead, a challenge for 3rd place beginning to mount by Matt Kenseth, defending series champion, closing on Ryan Newman. Wow, Newman had busy hands there. You know, it's going to trouble. Turn 4. Rusty Wallace has hit hard.
And folks, regardless, the race is not over. We will see the green flag. Who spun him out?
He said 88. Dale Jarrett was next behind him after Michael Waltrip got by.
See Rusty really sitting up high in the seat so he can see over the hood.
Let's check it out. Reason we're under caution for a 12th time.
Let me see.
Wow.
Yep, that was definitely
contact.
Got tagged there.
Boy, Kurt Busch did not want to see this, huh?
And Rusty Wallace, one of those drivers on the fringe of the chase.
Let's listen here. See if he had to check up. Not really. I mean, he got back in the throttle real easy, but it didn't sound like he had to check up.
TJ tried to cut under him and just misjudged the gap.
I don't see any water coming out of the car, so I think Rusty will be able to finish the race, but he's going to be the last car on the lead lap. Bill?
Boy, and this string of bad luck for this team continues. This car all mashed in the front. They try and bash down the hood. They're going to come around to the left side, take off those tires and change them. But disappointing. Now they're going to let him go so he can stay on the lead lap or not lose another lap. But disappointing finish here for Rusty. Looked like he might have had a top 10 going, BP.
He sure did. That was a battle for the 8th position.
And like I said, Rusty, one of those guys on the fringes of the race to the chase. He came into the day 17th in the championship, 208 points behind then 10th place Ryan Newman. And if he ends up finishing in the 30s like he made today.
Get some air to that radiator. It's not leaking. The ductwork might just be closed in. Guys, get your pry bar and see if you can stick something in there and cut a hole in it or something.
Yeah, try to get some air to the radiator because so far it's not leaking water, but it will overheat if somehow the air doesn't go through to cool.
Dave? With Jimmy Fennig up here, you know, we've run a lot of caution laps, but you got enough fuel to go much beyond lap 300 if we go green, white, checkered?
Yeah, we got some good gas mileage today. Our car's doing good on fuel.
And how about on the restart?
We're good on restarts. You know, we just didn't need no yellows, but Kurt's doing an awesome job. This Irwin Ford Taurus is doing awesome.
They would have preferred green, 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 Matt.
Robbie Loomis, if we do end up with a green, white, checkered, do you have enough fuel?
I believe it's going to be extremely tight, but we should be in good shape. You know, he's done a great job of saving fuel in the DuPont Chevrolet. We just hope we get by that 97. Those guys got a great race car right now. Been a little bit better than us, but our car's extremely strong on the restart. Let's see what happens.
We've got one more shot here, Adam.
Thank God. Let's see what happens.
Well, what Kurt doesn't have to his advantage now is having that car down on the inside that will help him on the restart. So this is Jeff Gordon's best shot at getting by him on a restart.
And just to explain why, we're inside the final 10 laps, and under NASCAR rules, inside the final 10 laps, only the lead lap cars line up single file at the head of the field for the restart.
This is going to be interesting.
This is.
So the restart's going to come with 3 laps to go. And just one thing to remember about the green, white, checker thing that we've been talking about. Once the leader has taken the white flag, if the caution comes out, then the race is over. It's not they'll go back and line up for an extended green, white checker. Once the leader's taken the white flag, if the yellow waves, that's it, it's done. It's only if the yellow comes out before the white flag and there aren't enough, and they need extended time to get the race restarted.
Jeff is right on the bumper of the 97 car right there.
All right, here we go.
He drove it in pretty hard, but car cut for him.
Ryan Newman trying to stay up on Jeff Gordon.
2 laps next time by.
Gordon's creeping up on him a little bit there through the center.
Now, if there's a caution in this lap, there will be a green, white checker. But if they can get back to the line, take the white flag, this race is over.
Kurt Busch is doing a good job right now. He's not overdriving the car. He's where he wants to be. He's making it real tough for Jeff Gordon.
Behind the leader, Tony Stewart tried. Matt Kenseth for 4th, couldn't do it. And they go single file. And here they come to the white flag. So Kurt Busch with one more lap to go to try and hold off Jeff Gordon for the win. We're on the final lap in New Hampshire. Stewart tries Kenseth for 4th. And Gordon not able to stay up with Busch.
Stewart trying everything again.
Oh,
that was close.
Little contact coming off the second corner.
McMurray inside of Michael Waltrip there. That'll be for 6th and 7th places. It's been a struggle over the late spring and early summer for Kurt Busch. No more. He wins today at New Hampshire International Speedway. Couple of car lengths over Jeff Gordon, his 2nd win of the season. Ryan Newman
feel good.
Dominated a lot of the day. He gets 3rd.
Awesome job.
But should feel good.
Yeah, no, he did a good job.
Did a terrific job. Had a terrific race car. So Jimmy Fink and those guys did a great job today, Dave.
Real proud. This is our kind of track.
Good thing they gave that car a second chance.
And he's got high fives from all of his guys here. And giving that car a second chance, we just pointed out, after Richmond earlier this year, was a good idea. How pumped up are you after starting way back in the field, Jimmy?
I'll tell you, I can't say enough about this Irwin team and Kurt Busch. And I'll tell you one thing, the Roush Yates Motors, you know, thank you, Doug, and everybody in the motor shop. Awesome job today.
All right, the Jimmy Fennig winning crew chief today, guys.
Kurt Busch, the 4th driver here in New Hampshire to start back in the 30s somewhere and win a race.
I think Jeff Burton did it one time.
Yeah, Jeff Burton, Rusty Wallace, and Ward Burton started back in the 30s. Kurt joins that club today. 2nd win of 2004. His 4th top 5 and 8th top 10 of the season. and is the 13th driver to win a NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race here at this racetrack in 19 tries.
I like this kind of burnout here. Put your nose up against the wall and just let her rip.
I think the fans there liked it as well.
They won't have any mosquito troubles around here tonight.
Tell you what, Kurt Busch knows how to do a burnout, doesn't he?
And he's not finished. Now Jack Roush is cringing right at this moment.
Now Kurt Busch led 110 of the 300 laps in today's race. Ryan Newman 187. Jimmy Spencer led for 3, and there's the cat in the hat, Jack Roush. Accepting congratulations on his team scoring the win today. And Kurt came into this race 9th in the chase for the Nextel Cup Championship, so that's going to boost him up a few spots in the standings. Go ahead, Matt.
Jeff Gordon just climbs out, started the day 24th. Now you told us in the pre-race this would be a big test when we come back to have the first race in the chase.
Yeah, you know, and it was. I mean, it was a great day for us. I tell you what, when they dropped the green flag, I was like, boy, we got something for them. But we just got loose in and then really, you know, couldn't stay on top of it all day. But I tell you what, second place finish. Really proud of the guys in this DuPont Chevrolet team. Want to say, you know, hello and send out my prayers and our thoughts to the whole Hendrick family. It's been a tough week, but I tell you what, Pop, he'd have been proud of that effort we put out there today. So real happy. Thank you know, all our sponsors, everybody that makes this thing happen. But to come from where we started and to finish where we did, real proud of that effort.
Started 24th, finished second. Dave?
Guy who started first today with a good top 5 finish, Ryan, but I know you wanted the win.
Yeah, we you know, I think led the most laps. The all-told Dodge was great from the start of the race to the end. It's just that some other cars got a little better than us, and you know, we'll take that top 3 run. That's something we've been searching for most all year, and it feels good to finally get one.
Marty?
Rusty Wallace has limped the banged-up Miller Lite Dodge into the garage area. What happened between you and Del Jarrett?
He just got in my rear end coming up off of turn 4. I really don't know why or what happened, but it was tight racing. It was getting late in the race. I could look in the rearview mirror. I was getting really held up by that 8 car. He was 2 laps down. I don't know if he was blocking for the 15 or what he was doing. We kept trying to move him out of the way, and he wouldn't get out of the way, and it caused me just to get the front end pushed and all kind of stuff. And Michael got underneath me, and then I thought I was okay there. And then 88 got me right in the left rear quarter panel. It's just, that's uncharacteristic of Dale, so I don't have a problem with that because he's a good guy, and I know it's a mistake with him. Other guys, I don't know about that.
Rusty finishes 30th. Bill?
In victory lane, 25-year-old Kurt Busch, who turns 26 on August 4th with his first win since Bristol. And you heard him on the radio. This one feels good. A big victory lane celebration. Jack Roush is here. Crew Chief Jimmy Fennig's already been here. Congratulations. Good day.
It's an awesome day.
Well, you started winning. You were like 32nd or something. How'd you get up front?
This car will not qualify. We ran it at Richmond, and we qualified just as poorly, but it ran just as well. Just an awesome car that Jimmy built, and we worked off an abbreviated crew this weekend. Mike Kelly, he's at home having a baby with his wife, and we had one guy leave. So everybody was in jumbled positions, and this feels awesome. I mean, this feels really good.
Kurt, how about the 24 behind you for those final laps?
He's the competitor right now of choice. He's the guy that's winning races, sitting on poles, and he's the guy you want to beat. And the restarts will always test your ability of a car on a short run, especially with Jeff Gordon behind it. I'm very proud of this effort. Irwin Industrial Tools, their first win, and now we get to donate money to the Rebuilding Together charity, and that's just tremendous. I'm a board member in Vegas, so we're going to go build some houses.
You won at Bristol, then struggled for a few weeks, didn't you?
It's been a struggle with this tire, and it's funny because we run real well at tracks that we ran poorly at the year before, such as Loudon, such as Richmond, and a few other the smaller tracks. But this is just an awesome win for Coca-Cola, Gatorade, or not Gatorade, but a few of our other guys that we got laying around. It's just tremendous. It's been so long since I got the victory lane, I don't even know who to talk about.
But it's an awesome win for you too, because it increases your chances in the race for the chase to the championship.
We had to come to this week and know we had to put some points together. Last week, a couple weeks ago at Chicago, we got in a wreck with Ryan Newman's flat, and this is more or less our 10 races to go. We've got to do it now if we want to be in position. It's just a tremendous effort to have the Gillette people here, to have Coca-Cola, Visa, and all of our associate sponsors. It's just a great win to be able to get back to victory lane.
Enjoy it with these guys, okay?
You got it. Thank you.
Kurt Busch in victory lane, Alan.
And we check the final results from today's race at New Hampshire International Speedway. Kurt with his second victory of the season, and a very strong effort by Jeff Gordon to also come from deep in the pack to finish second.
And I tell you, that battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th was a great one. 9th, Michael Walter comes back to finish in the 6th position.
Off day for championship leader Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, well, you can't be perfect all the time, I guess, those guys, but they sure tried. They made a lot of changes to that race car.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. finishes in the 19th position.
And Rusty Wallace, you see, finished 30th there. Talked to him a second ago. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to get credit for 31st place points with the shared effort between he and Martin Truex Jr. So not the day they were hoping for, hoping to get a top 20, maybe a top 15. Didn't work out that way. And you see some of the drivers who went out earlier with mechanical issues in today's race. Championship standings. First, we check the top 10. Kurt Busch, the big mover today. 3 spots with his victory.
And Ryan Newman, 10th spot. Kevin Harvick loses a spot. Elliott Sadler loses one. Ryan Newman, 5:02 behind, but that doesn't matter. You just got to be in the top 10. Here's the guy, Jeremy Mayfield, 106 out of 10th place. Dale Jarrett, now 127 out of 10th. Mark Martin just 192 out of 10th back in 15th.
And most all of those a loss on the day because Ryan Newman finished in the top 5. Next Saturday on TNT, NASCAR Busch Series Racing presented by Midas from Colorado Springs. And the next Sunday, NASCAR Nextel Cup Series Racing from Pocono. We start with Discover Card, Countdown to Green. And next on TNT, Ocean's 11 on the East Coast and Under Siege 2 Dark Territory on the West Coast. Wild afternoon of racing at New Hampshire. We'll talk to you next weekend. It's been a struggle for Kurt Busch. He wins today at New Hampshire International Speedway.